Welcome to the 102nd episode of the Nerdom and Other Nonsense Anime Podcast. Today, we are bringing you the first half of our summer season impressions for 2019, based on the first few weeks of shows that have aired. As always, we will include timestamps in the description of the YouTube video and podcast feed if you only want to ever hear about one or two specific shows, since we spoil everything. My name is Kat, and if I were ever isekai'd, you damn well know I would have a glorious harem of buff, shirtless men serving me hand and foot, and a beautiful woman attending me to my every care and need, of course, as well. Like, I'd have just half and half. One side the ladies, one side the gentlemen. I don't even disagree with this one. Good job, whoever wrote that.
You're welcome.
Okay. Oh, it says I would also be way overpowered, of course. I agree with that. Everyone would just cower in the corners like, oh god, no! And with me on this adventure are my two way more underpowered servants, Leo and Bcom.
Hello. How's it going?
Yeah. Isekais. So many.
There are a lot of isekai this season, that is true. Some better than others, but mostly garbage.
Yeah.
As usual. I wish isekai were better, because, like, isekai are a fun premise, but they just aren't.
Completely agree with that statement.
Yeah. So we have no time for nonsense, because we have a lot of ground to cover. So I think we're just going to skip the nonsense for this Summer Impressions episode and get right back into anime. And the ones to start with, I think, are the continuing shows, the ones that we were still watching last season and are still going.
I'm already exhausted looking at this list.
It's fine. We'll get through it. It's good.
We'll be okay.
So let's kick it off with Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. As always, you can find us on Crunchyroll and Funimation from Studio Ufotable. Yeah, we've been watching the show. So episode 14 picks right up the second half of the season. I was, like, slightly disappointed that there wasn't a new OP. They just did an OP that lasts the entire length of the show, which is fine. But, you know, like, when you have, like, a good show like this, especially one that looks as nice as it does, you kind of hope for, like, a second OP to just blow you away. But, you know.
See, I don't give a fuck about the OP. Like,
I don't really either. Actually, I'll say that most of the shows some of the shows that got their second OPs, I usually don't like them as much as I like the first.
That's often true, but sometimes there's, like, a rare exception to that rule where it's, like, even better. But, yeah. So, okay, the show picks back up with Tanjiro fighting, like, boar-face guy, who we find out is named Inosuke. And, satisfyingly, Tanjiro, like, punches him in the stomach and breaks, like, 4 of his ribs. He's, you know, he's being real mean to Zenitsu at the end of last episode. And Tanjiro tries everything he can to calm this boar dude down, but ends up having to just, like, headbutt the shit out of him to get him, like, to knock him out. And this knocks the mask off of this boar dude's face, and we see that Inosuke has, like, a rather pretty face. Like, I literally feel like he looks like Ryuko Matoi from Kill la Kill.
And this is why he's been wearing the mask, probably, because his face contradicts his personality.
For sure.
I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's got even that same hair gradient, like his hair goes from black to blue, kind of like how Ryuko's goes from black to red. So I just keep seeing Ryuko Matoi whenever he talks. I can't, like, get it out of my head.
Yeah, it's like they really just drew a female head and then just put a dude's body on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He passes out after having his head butted, and, like, when he wakes back up, he starts, like, slamming his head into trees, I guess to try to harden it for, like, the next time. They send off those kids that they saved inside that spooky house with some, like, wisteria demon repellent that the crow just, like, barfs up. It just,
dude, the crow got so much screen time this episode. I could hear Kat miles away just screaming at it, like, why is this fucking crow still on the scene?
Oh my god. Yeah, every time I see the crow on screen, I think of you guys now. So I'm like, oh, I know how they're reacting to this. And so at this point, we have the nightmare of these 3 stooges tagging along with each other, like Zenitsu and Inosuke, these 2 massive idiots tagging along with Tanjiro, and I'm like, oh god.
Oh, also throughout the whole episode, Tanjiro keeps hitting Zenitsu on the head when he's freaking out, you know, because he's goes over the top about it, and I'm just like, so satisfied every time he hits him and stops him from because the show will let him go for 2 to 3 minutes straight, and Tanjiro's like, all right, I'm not having none of this, and just fucking shuts him up immediately. I'm like, yes, Thank you, we connect.
It is so annoying. And so yeah, they find this house that has a wisteria crest at the front gate. It's owned by this family that were once saved by demon hunters, so now they treat all demon hunters with like great hospitality. And a doctor comes and checks them out and sees that they all have broken ribs. It's like, oh, 2 broken ribs, 3 broken ribs, 4 broken ribs. And so they need to get some rest, basically. But that's easier said than done with Zenitsu and Inosuke just constantly fucking screaming. But we learn about Inosuke's background, which was kind of interesting, I guess. He joined the Demon Slayer Corps because he likes to fight, and his only goal in life is to test his strength. Have you ever heard of a shonen character like this before? I haven't. This is very unique.
This is totally new. Yeah.
But like the main conflict at that end of that episode is like Zenitsu asking Tanjiro, why are you traveling around with a demon in a box? And then Nezuko comes out of the box and she's really cute, and Zenitsu like loses his shit because she's kawaii as fuck. And that's about the end of that episode.
Yep.
And so like episode 15, these idiots for the first 4 minutes of this episode are literally just like running around in circles around this room in this like house, and it's just dumb. And Nezuko's like standing in a corner like really confused. It started with Zenitsu chasing her, but by the end she's just like, what is going on?
Between the last episode and the first half of this episode, I was starting to lose a little faith in this series. But then the second episode, I mean not the second episode, but the second half of this, it redeemed itself. I'm like, all right, you're gonna go back to doing the fighting. Cool.
They felt like they needed some downtime to just like relax and have fun, I guess, and introduce these new characters. But yeah, they get a new mission. The crow's like, and they go to Mount Natagumo. And as soon as they get close, Zenitsu is already terrified by these like vibes he's getting from the mountain, which who knows if those are real vibes or if he's just terrified of everything. But Tanjiro smells something off, so we know there's like some shit going down. And they see this Demon Slayer Corps guy on the ground outside the forest, and then he gets pulled away into the trees by these like spider web strings. And you're like, oh, what happened to him? I will say, one thing I will shout out, as they're like going, like, so Tanjiro and Inosuke run into the forest and like leave Zenitsu behind because he's too scared. There's like a really amazing first-person view shot as they're like running through the forest. I thought it was really well done. Like, they keep getting better at this. I think this is like one of Ufotable's like big strengths as a studio is the 3D CGI stuff they do.
Okay, is it Ufotable or UFO table? Because I've heard it called both so
it's
much.
It's like both. It's
I call
neither.
them UFO table.
Yeah,
I do too.
I think that's a better.
So like Japan pronounces UFO as UFO. So I sometimes say Ufotable. Or I don't know.
But you know what?
Yeah.
We don't, and we're in the fucking U.S.
It's true.
So
UFO
it's
table
UFO
is
table.
Totally fine. So yeah, I just really wanted to shout out that 3D CGI work because it was like one of the times it actually looked good. So in the forest, they find another demon slayer who tells them that he was sent to the mountain in a group of 10. But once they got inside of the forest, they all started turning on each other and killing each other. And I don't know about you guys, but I thought it was pretty clear from the beginning that like their movements were really puppet-like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like you catch on really fast that they're being manipulated by someone. And we find out that is like this spider woman demon who uses like little spiders to attach the strings to her puppets and then controls them. And there's also several other spider family members in the forest, like 5 in total, I think somebody says.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Tanjiro is like really overwhelmed by like the sweet, acrid smell of the demons, so he asks Inosuke for help in locating this spider mom. And Inosuke just like plunges his katanas into the ground and uses some breathing form called spatial awareness, which might as well be fucking radar or sonar, and just like easily locates them and like they run off over there.
Yeah, but being who he is, him having this ability makes total sense to me.
I guess that's true. Yeah. He is like a beast guy. Like he's a hunter,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, the only other thing is just like Zenitsu does eventually run into the forest when he realizes that Nezuko is in there, and he's like, oh, I need to save Nezuko. She's so cute. So he's on his way there.
He would literally think any human being with breasts was cute. So, I mean, he did once ask a girl to marry him because she was just a little nice to him. I don't know. I've continued to like this show, but I don't find the plot that entertaining.
I guess I'll agree. I watched a few episodes ahead of this as well, and so this spider forest arc goes on for a bit. I think it's pretty interesting, but I am generally annoyed by both Zenitsu and Inosuke. They're not great. I still really like Tanjiro a lot, though. And I do think that the fight scenes are still really good in this and creative. So I don't know. Yeah,
Inosuke. He actually doesn't bother me that much, but I think that's because I'm just so annoyed with Zenitsu. So if Zenitsu wasn't here, I would probably be really annoyed by him.
Oh yeah,
I'm kind of just okay right now. I don't really care because they haven't gone like as over the top as they have with Zenitsu yet. So
right.
I mean, we'll find out.
All right. Well, let's move on from that. Let's keep going. Let's keep this pace up. We've got Fruits Basket first season. Talk about a high-paced show, fast-paced show. Episode 13 and 14 is what we watched. I liked episode 14 a lot, but we got to talk about 13 first. So, in episode 13, a snake boy arrives.
Snake.
A cute snake boy.
Snake boy.
Ayame Soma, who happens to be Yuki's older brother. By like 10 years older, like pretty far apart. And he comes to visit Yuki, and we find out later he was worried about him after his run-in with Akito because he tells Toru that Akito is a source of terror for Yuki, and even more so than like the other members of the Zodiac who fear him. He's got like issues, and it has to do with when he was isolated when he was younger, everything. Toru kind of encourages Snake Boy to reconnect with Yuki. And so that's like the main thing of this episode. But like, yeah, one of the fun things about Ayame as a character is that he's cold-blooded. He's a snake, and he's constantly seeking warmth. And so you see him like wriggling inside of like Toru's clothes a couple times this episode, but it's drawn so like cartoonish and cute that it just comes off as like funny to me rather than like anything lewd.
Yeah, but it's a little pervy.
It's a little lewd, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's just so funny. I can't. it's good. And like he sneaks into Kyon's bed that night to sleep, and at like breakfast the next morning, Kyon asks, like, why couldn't you sleep in Shigure's room? And Ayame's like, well, Guri-san never lets me get any sleep. And Shigure, like, hilariously replies, like, right immediately, come on, honey, not in front of the children. I love that. I love the implications of that, and they keep that going in the next episode and everything. But yeah, Ayame also tells a story where he was the student council president in high school, and some of his fellow students got in trouble for going to the red light district. And then he argued he made this big speech about how sexual desire is normal for teenagers, and then they need an outlet, and if they need an outlet, it might as well be him, so everybody should lust after him, the student council president. And then he loudly declares, I'm sure to Kat's delight, that if you're wondering if he's a top or a bottom, he's a bottom. So yeah.
Wow.
We also learned that Ayame is very close with like Hattori, and part of the reason is because he admires him, and also like Toru's determination to try as hard as they can whenever it comes to helping other people. That's like what Ayame admires about people. But yeah, so that was Snake episode. But I really liked episode 14. So it focuses on the 1-year anniversary of the death.
Was it good enough to redeem 10 other episodes?
That's a good question. I don't know. Let's find out. Let's see. Let's see what you think after hearing about it. So it focuses on the 1-year anniversary of the death of Toru's mother and how she's coping with it versus how everyone around her like views that. And so first things first, though, I think the new OP and ED are really good. I know Kat doesn't care.
Yeah, it's just silliness. Like, I don't know. But this episode in particular was good. You get to see Momiji's backstory. It's very sad. Basically, his mom couldn't handle the fact that he was a rabbit. And I know you want to read the entire thing. We don't need to read the entire thing.
Yeah.
His mom couldn't handle the fact that he's a rabbit, and she got very psychologically fucked up and tried to kill herself. And so they made her forget that she ever had Momiji, and Momiji just has to like watch on the sidelines as she had another kid and is fine and like pretend that that's not his mom, and that sucks for him, and it's really hard. And this is kind of you start to see some of the darkness of the family in this. And this is where I like Fruit Basket.
Yeah.
Like I like that in Fruits Basket you get to see like the happy parts with the sad parts, because I think that's life. I mean, obviously we're dealing in a fiction world where people turn into rabbits, but that's a lot of life is like happiness with sadness, and it's all mixed together. And I think this series does a really good job of having that feeling,
Yeah,
which is one of the reasons I've enjoyed it.
I thought this was a really cohesive episode because, we're learning about like the issues that Momiji has with his mom, but how he still wants to remember her, and how he thinks it's wrong that she forgot about him. That like Toru is like justified in feeling things for her mom, like feeling that she should still like think about her all the time and remember her, despite like the pain that brings her. And everybody's.
Well, I mean, he does say like, I wish there was I think there should be a world where no one has to forget anything. But at the same time, I don't feel like he's angry at his mom or blames his mom. It's just a hard situation for him to be in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Kat, how would you react if you gave birth to something that turned into a rabbit?
I would like to imagine that I would just deal with it, and it would still be my child. I think it just depends. Obviously, some people are going to have. I mean, even in real life, there are people who have postpartum depression, and they just go insane after they have a kid, and that's. I mean, no one can explain why that happens. Logically, that's still your child. You should be fine, but sometimes things happen. In fact, I thought this was kind of a parallel for postpartum depression in a way. Yeah. Obviously very exaggerated, and no one in real life like forgets their kid, but like things like this do happen. And it's hard for families.
Yeah.
So, it was interesting to see.
And besides the Momiji stuff, like they go to the Honda family grave near the end of the episode. And we learn that like Arisa has this biker jacket from like Kyoko, who's Toru's mother, that says like Crimson Butterfly on the back of it. I didn't realize, maybe they've mentioned it before, but like, yeah, Toru's mom's like this biker chick who is really awesome apparently. But like the big thing that happens at the grave is that Kyon is acting kind of strangely, and Saki notes that his waves are like literally screaming out loud, like when she gets him pulled aside. And like kind of asks him what's going on, but he doesn't really respond. But there's definitely some remorse that Kyon feels over Toru's mother's death. Like he was involved in some way, and like there's even more of that at the end of the episode when Yuki stumbles across like this hat in Kyon's bedroom and starts to put together that he may have had some involvement with that. So yeah, that's mysterious and interesting, and it may explain why Kyon is so awkward around Toru sometimes. So I liked that. It was a good hint at the future.
It was, for sure.
Does it make up for the first half, Leo? I don't know. I thought it was a really strong episode, though. So yeah,
I think that this series is really good. I don't know if we will be covering that this season, because there's also a lot of other really good shows.
That's true.
And they might be more interesting to cover week to week than this is. But I don't think that makes this any less of a good show, in my opinion.
Okay.
So.
This season, more than most seasons, I have not a clue what we're going to cover beyond like 3 or 4 shows.
There are a lot of shows this season where it is good. Is it like good enough to get on the list because there are so many other good shows? Who knows? It's up in the air.
Yeah, there's like you said, there's probably about 4 shows I'm pretty sure we're going to cover. Beyond that, I have no clue. I don't even know.
Yeah. I mean, I
don't
have
even
some
know what I'm
idea
going to
of the
pick
ones-
for my lock. It's
I have some
Me neither.
idea. Yeah, I have some idea of the ones in the running, and I have some ideas of the ones I may have to lock because I know that they may not be picked.
Same here. I have some potential locks. We'll see.
Yeah, but I think this season, I mean, in the summer usually is this way. Although I've seen a few summer seasons where it was kind of shit-tastic, but this season it was a good season. Like what was that season with the fastest finger anime? Was that last year?
I think it was last year at this point.
Last year.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah, because that one, I mean, that season was kind of shit-tastic. And so I loved that show. And it really shouldn't have been as prominent of a show as it was. The only reason it was is because there were no other good shows. But for some reason this season, a lot of things came out. And that happens sometimes. So
True.
the strongest will survive. The weak will be cold. We will see.
Speaking of the strongest, Carole Tuesday is continuing.
for sure.
Carole Tuesday, my shit.
Episode 13, which is Walk This Way by Aerosmith.
Aerosmith, yeah.
So, what do you guys think of the new OP? I'm going to keep talking about OP. Sorry, Kat. What do you guys think of the new OP, Polygyne?
Not as good as the first. Not as good as the
I
first.
liked the first one better. It was more catchy. I like this one.
I like it too. It's just not as good. Yeah.
It follows the normal formula of the second OP being sadder than the first one, which I don't know why they fucking do that. What did the show, like, are we crying? What's happening? Why are the second half always like sad song for the opening?
Well, there's
I
some
actually-
emotional stuff in the second half so far. I don't know.
Yeah. I actually don't.
I mean, but there was some emotional stuff in the first half.
I don't
God
really
damn.
care about the OP. I mean, I don't like it and I don't hate it. I'm just very meh about the OP. So
Yeah, and the ED is just like Angela and her AI-dominated music stuff, and that's interesting. It's
I do
fun.
really like the ED.
Yeah,
So
I like
that
it
one's
too.
really good.
So Angela makes her press conference to announce her deal with Brightest Records, $20 million signing bonus. God damn. She also sings her first single, Breathe Again, which is, I thought it was pretty good, but it's like super overproduced like usual, you know, like very electronic.
Well, it's very auto-tuned.
Yeah.
Like all her songs are auto-tuned, I've noticed.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know what else you call that. Like when their voices are very like
Like synthesized. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, synthesized. But it's good. I like, and I do tend to like songs that are a little synthesized.
Yeah, they can be good. Yeah, for sure. At the laundromat, Carole almost gets into a fight with some guys who are trying to force Tuesday to sing. But this mysterious guy named Dan with two N's.
I immediately go, he's related to Carole somehow.
Did you? It took me the second time with the parents.
I think
Oh,
there's a shot of him in there, and they single him out for a reason. I think even then, before even the fight happened, I was like, he's related to Carole. It was, I don't know, it was just so front and forward for me.
oh my goodness.
Yeah, I group watched this, and so for the first time, and somebody immediately said when he showed up, "Is that Carol's dad?" That's Carol's dad, isn't it?
Yeah, that's basically what I did. I was like, yep.
And so, yeah, this guy like steps in to help them, and he's like, "Oh, I saw you on TV," and so that's it for now. But he comes back later, obviously, and so Carole Tuesday go to sign their contract at Brightest Records, but they run into Angela and Dahlia first, and Angela kind of lays down the gauntlet for like the next big thing in the show. She's like, "Well, I'm gonna be the one to win Mars' Best New Artist, so you guys don't even have a chance." Blah blah blah. And so that's like the next thing, probably.
I will say also the thing between Dahlia and Gus every time they meet is, I think that's a good running joke they got going in the show.
It is.
Just
Oh, yeah.
I
them
like
trying
both
to
of
one up
them.
each other. Yeah, it's good.
And so, yeah, they're like trying to negotiate their new contract, and Catherine, you know, the judge from Brightest, whatever, mentions that a bunch of people have come out of the woodwork saying they're related to Carole and if she wants to be introduced to any of them. But Carol's just not sure if she wants to meet them after all this time, and probably thinks they're probably lying as well. But yeah, at this point, that's when I got like really suspicious about Dan.
okay.
Yeah, I was like, okay, now we're definitely going there. So This second half of the show is also getting like increasingly political as it starts to focus on Valerie.
I liked that though, the part where they're like, kick out all the immigrants, and I'm like, oh, doesn't that sound familiar?
It does sound very familiar.
Really familiar.
And it doesn't. Wow. Not necessarily even just U.S. policy, like Brexit as well. It's like a whole like worldwide issue at this point. So they're feeding off all of that political stuff that's going on. And yeah, her campaign manager, Jerry, or whatever, or consultant, I guess he is, he's really kind of sketchy. He's using facial recognition software on the entire crowd to, like, judge their feelings in real time and all this shit.
Can you really judge feelings that accurately from that, though?
I don't know. I think it's a good question.
Okay, this is taking place in the future, and we do have some of this technology right now, so to think if it's advanced to this is very plausible to me. So I'm not surprised at all.
I think you probably could to some degree, just based on, like, if you set various data points for people's facial reactions to things and then, like, average them over an entire crowd, you could see whether they're more accepting of something or less accepting. Like, I can imagine this technology existing if it doesn't already. So
yeah.
We're also introduced to this journalist named Kyle, Leo's friend. We play Destiny with him.
They look nothing alike.
Yeah, not at all. Who is following the campaign closely, and he seems to think this may lead to an ugly outcome, like in the public sphere. Meanwhile, Gus turns down Catherine's contract for the girls because he felt it had too many restrictions on their creative freedom. And he instead takes them into the middle of the slums to find this legendary producer guy who hasn't been seen for 10 years. And they perform a song in the middle of the slums, and people start gathering around. And this fucking crazy dude shows up with an axe named Toby.
I don't know how you even fucking get away with that. That's...
Dude,
dumb.
that
was kind of dumb, honestly.
I
it was
saw
a
him
bad
and
decision.
I'm like, oh, this new character is going to be a fucking treat. I can't wait.
Oh, absolutely.
It was a little overdone. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I think so, too. It was ridiculous. But as he goes on, I like him more, like in the next episode.
Yeah. So their song, Army of Two, I really like it. What about you guys?
I like it a lot, and I also like it in the like recording session version for the next episode. So, yeah. I think it's good. Yeah, I'm kind of like all of their songs. Like, I can't wait to listen to this CD. Like, it's gonna be so fucking good. But yeah, the next episode, The Kids Are All Right, makes a lot of sense because it focuses a lot on Carole and Tuesday's relationship with their parents. We find out Tuesday's mother is down 9 points in the polls. And her, like, political consultant is, like, pushing her to say that they're going to revoke the trade agreement with the United, or not the U.S., God, with the Earth. With Earth. God damn it.
Slip of the tongue.
Just a little Freudian slip there. It's fine.
It's hilarious. You wrote it out and everything too.
Okay, so I noticed that they're almost comparing politics with singing here. They're almost comparing kind of how you can lose your soul and do things that aren't authentically you to get a better contract or to be popular in music, to the way a lot of politicians kind of lose their soul and they go against what they actually think to win votes and all of that. I thought that was interesting.
Well,
that's a good call.
Jerry's just a consultant, but it sounds more like he's the one actually running the show.
Yeah, running the campaign, and Valerie is kind of just reacting, and yeah. And like, I think, I don't know. We'll get into it. So we get a scene where Kyle, that journalist, runs into Tuesday, who's working at a food stand for some extra cash, and asks if she'd be willing to give an interview about her mother. And she refuses. She basically says, I have nothing to talk about. But Kyle kind of reads her and says, I think one day you're going to have to face your mother and tell her how you really feel in order to, like, live your own life apart from her. And so Tuesday, like, takes his number or whatever and thinks about that. So Carole, on the other hand, is dealing with these fake-ass couples who are coming up and declaring that they're her parents.
I like that one
I
couple's
know.
just completely white, and it's like, what the fuck?
It's like, guys, you're not trying very hard here. They're just gold diggers, and this guy Dan with 2 N's shows up again to help fend them off when they start getting like physical and like grabbing her. And Carole had also told each of them that if either of you is really my father, you would have a birthmark on your right wrist. At which point I'm like, oh, we're going to see a birthmark.
How did she know that, though? Like,
I don't know how she knew that.
I don't think that would be a detail that someone in an orphanage would tell you about your father. Like, oh, hey, by the way,
Well,
your
when we
father
find
had
out-
a birthmark.
His father wasn't even there whenever.
Yeah, like when
Carole
her
got dropped
mom
off.
gave her up, he was in prison. You find out. So, like, how would the orphanage even know that? I feel like that was kind of bullshit.
Maybe her mother. Wait, how young was she when she got dropped off? She was a baby?
Only a year or two old.
Yeah. That's a good question. I don't know how she would know that.
See, plot hole. I
Fucking
love
plot holes in Carole Tuesday. Oh my god. So, before we finish Carol's arc, there's a recording session that takes place at Toby's house. He has like this really fancy Neumann microphone. God, I wish I had one of those. They're so expensive. And the backing of Skip's band.
Dude, when I saw them show up, and you know they're doing this for no money, I was just like
I was
kind of slightly
surprised.
eyebrow raising. I'm like, he must owe the Tobe a favor or something. I don't know.
They definitely have a relationship. Like, they recognize each other. They know each other.
Oh, yeah, they totally know each other.
And they record this full version of Army of Two, which they had sung the previous day in the streets. And like, they do like a million takes of it. They do actually 52 takes. And I like how Skip says, I can't believe he let you stop after 52 takes. That's so short.
Yep.
But they're like exhausted. But they got it in the can, so that matters. Also, Mr. Tao is being real sketch. He's using an AI simulation of Angela to test out new songs. And she kind of jokingly asks him, you're not even going to need me anymore pretty soon, right? And he doesn't answer her, and she's
I don't think it was jokingly. I'm pretty sure she was dead serious and I really worried about this.
Yeah, I guess so. But she does say, like, well, that's where you're supposed to say no to Mr. Tao. But, like, he's serious, yeah. He probably wouldn't need her anymore. There's also this mysterious stalker online called the Black Knight, who has been posting about Angela on social media and seems to know everything she's doing and planning in the future, which is creepy. And so she gets like some AI bodyguard to like guard her.
Yeah, so there's suddenly a lot of AI being thrown into this, and I'm really, and I don't know where they're going to go with it. But
Yeah,
I think it's going to be interesting. I think the Black Knight's probably possibly another AI that's
It could be.
using algorithms actually predicting Angela's next moves.
Or it could be related to that guy, Aaron, who is an IT genius who she bumped into. She met this episode randomly.
Oh, yeah. So I guess there's that too.
Could be connected, but I don't know. So back to Dan and Carole, which is the center of this episode. As if we didn't already know who he was, we see that he has the birthmark on his right wrist, so we figure it out. But he has to leave Mars because he's on probation, like, from his sentence. Like, he still has to go back and serve the rest of his sentence. We find out that he is Carol's father, and he explains why he's been out of the picture. It's because Carol's mother, who was really frail, dropped Carole off at a church on a snowy day, which Carole remembers. And because she just couldn't take care of her, and because Dan was in prison for something, we don't really know what.
He says he pleaded self-defense, but it wasn't accepted.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
that's interesting. So I don't know if he was attacked and he hurt someone, or killed them, maybe.
Probably want us to feel that he got screwed over a little bit, at least, yeah. And
Yeah.
he's been there for like 17 years, and when he finally got out, he searched for Carole and probably saw her on TV, heard she was on Mars anyway, and came to find her. But he, like, apologizes. I like the way he acts. Like, he's just like, I know I don't deserve anything. I've never done anything that a father would do for their daughter, but I just wanted to get a glimpse of you. And they have this kind of nice moment where she, sends him off and tells him, like, please come back someday.
Yeah.
That was cool.
I don't know. I think you may have skipped it, but the mother died also shortly
Yeah,
after.
his mother, she was really frail. She died, like, very soon after she dropped off Carole at that church. So that's sad.
Yeah. I think that final scene was pretty well done. Even though it was really obvious to me, it still kind of almost made me want to tear up. It was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. I like the salute that she gave him at the end there, just walking down. So yeah, good stuff. I was worried about the political stuff going into this second half a little bit, but I think the way it's playing out makes it just kind of interesting and relevant to the real world. And I really liked Kat's metaphor there for how it compares to the way the music industry works at the same time. So yeah, it's good. It's a good call. All right. Those are the continuing shows. It's time to get into the new shit and see if any of it is any good. Let's find out. So, I'm going through the shows in order of the date they aired this season. So that's
Fair
the
enough.
order. To the Abandoned Sacred Beasts on Crunchyroll premiered on July 1st. Japanese titles Katsute Kamidata Kemono Tachi E. And the source is a manga from Studio Mappa. And from Studio Mappa, it kind of feels a little bit like Rage of Bahamut, this anime, but not quite the same thing.
Oh, okay, cool. I had that same thought too.
Yeah. And the director is Jun Shishido, who directed Hajime no Ippo New Challenger, Hajime no Ippo Rising, and a couple other things that I've never heard of. So yeah. Let me see if this sounds familiar to you, Leo. There's a country, it's called Patria. And it's been divided into the North and the South, who are fighting a civil war. It's over
number
in
one,
Or.
it's going to sound familiar to me because I've read the manga.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
at least part of it.
They're fighting over this ore called Somnium. But the South is the Confederacy, the North is the Union. Again, I've never heard this story before. But the Union are way outnumbered by the South. So they decide to unleash these beast soldiers called Incarnates onto the battlefield against the Confederacy to turn the tide of the war. The captain of the Incarnates is this guy named Hank Henriette. By the way, the names in this anime are sweat chef's kiss. They're so dumb. I love them. We'll get to some really dumb ones later.
Wow, okay.
So he seems to have a thing for this doctor named Elaine Blue Lake. Sorry. Who's the one who created these incarnates in the first place? Though we don't know exactly how she created them, but it seems like through science.
It seems very vague, but it's obviously some science thing. I don't know.
Yeah, they don't touch on it. Don't dwell on it. You'll just waste your time.
It's so weird. This whole series is weird.
Absolutely.
Really?
It's just people turning into weird beast things, and then people around them being like, "It's still you," and then they are not them anymore, and then they have to be killed. And then
But there's
how
a
sad
weird
is that?
side effect to whatever had been done to them.
Exactly.
The
beast
dragon
slowly starts taking
one-
over.
The dragon part was really sad for me. I
Oh,
don't
yeah, for sure. The incarnates slowly start losing their humanity and their sanity, and Hank makes it the declaration that any incarnates who lose their shit will be killed by their fellow incarnates. And everybody sort of seems to agree at the time, but yeah. But the night before the final battle of the war, Elaine Blue Lake asks to speak with Hank. And she tells him that a peace treaty has already been worked out, and but there will be no peace for the incarnates after the war because they have no place to go back to. They're made for the war. And this is where I start to think about this show as an analogy a bit for PTSD, in that there are these super soldiers made to fight in this war, and then they have nowhere to belong after the war's over.
Well, or even just injured people in war. I think it wasn't after World War II, there were just camps of very disfigured soldiers because people felt uncomfortable with them, and they would almost have their own little cities or towns.
I hadn't heard about that. That's interesting. I'll have to look into it.
Damaged. Yeah, I believe in Europe they had them because there was a lot more
Oh, I didn't know about
damage in there. So it reminds me of that kind of, where obviously society did not want to see them or be reminded of that, but they're still alive and they still gotta live, and life goes on.
So Elaine spins around after she says this and shoots Hank, gut shots him.
that. With these special bullets?
With special bullets which can kill incarnates specifically. We find out Hank and Elaine were war orphans together. But they grew up with this other guy, an incarnate named Kane Madhouse. who's from a rich family, and Elaine has asked Kane to help her finish off the other incarnates. Like, she thinks it's her responsibility to put them all to rest before they become beasts and become a threat. But Kane has other ideas. He shoots Elaine and then breaks into evil guy laugh trademark. And yeah, when Hank wakes up, he's been in for a coma for 2 months, and the war is over, and he decides, like, I need to get revenge on Kane and take out the rest of the incarnates who have started losing their minds and are causing destruction and killing people all over the place. And, like, just briefly, the second episode introduces us to Nancy Bancroft, who's a daughter of one of the incarnates, who was a dragon, and who had, like, 6 kids and went off to war, became a dragon. He's, like, a patriot. And then when he came back from the war, he, for some reason, couldn't transform back from being a dragon into a human.
He got stuck in the form, yeah.
He got stuck, yeah. And so the townspeople, like, they love him. They think he's a hero, but they get increasingly wary of him because he's a dragon and he starts screaming at night occasionally. And, like, they find that their cows are getting eaten because, Nancy's not getting enough food because they don't have enough money. And so they put a cowbell on him, and then they move all the younger kids in the family away.
Well, it's an orphanage.
Oh, it's an orphanage. Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought they was, like, all sisters. Yeah. Okay, never mind.
No.
So on one rainy night, like, Shawl hears an explosion in the forest and runs out to find that Hank has shot her father dead. And then she sort of makes it her mission to follow Hank around and figure out why the hell he killed her father. And she sees him, like, take down another incarnate named Danny in this town, and decides, like, all right, I'm going to tag along with you now because I need to understand the whole story here and, like, what happened. And so I can make sense of my father's death, basically. And so that, yeah, it seems like it's going to go on sort of like that, where they travel around, find more incarnates, find more about, like, who was responsible for all of this, and maybe try to seek justice for them, I would assume.
Well, eventually finding Kane is the end game, you know?
Well, yeah, that makes sense, yeah. Kane Madhouse. Love that guy.
I really thought the second episode showed that it can keep its emotional beats, at least for me. And Kat said the dragon thing actually got to her. So that's awesome. And
I mean, it's not like it got to me like hardcore. It just was slightly sad.
And that's kind of the thing with every monster. It tries to make you sympathize with them. Because, like, for Danny, he was just trying to keep his town, you know, with food and money, but he was fucking killing traveling people, you know, in the process. And
yeah, his
his intentions were good, but he was fucking going crazy. So.
Yeah, they became, like, distorted by his mind. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you kind of and other people kind of have, like, different reasoning, and, like, I think the story's doing really well. I think it's doing a very good job of telling it.
Yeah.
So this is one of my higher up there shows for this season.
It's not one of my higher up shows, but it's a decent show.
It's a decent show. That I agree with Kat. Basically, it's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. It definitely is no Rage of Bahamut, so don't expect that.
No,
yes, exactly.
I tried. I don't compare shit to Rage of Bahamut. It's kind of on its own pedestal, you know.
To me, it's a slightly mediocre show, but it's not bad. It's some people will like it. It depends on what your interest is. If it's your interest, then you may like this. You may want to watch it.
We'll have to. We most likely, Kat. We'll have to get with Brains and see what his opinion is on this possible PTSD thing about it.
Yeah, I wonder.
They play it a little too dramatic for me. Like, there are good parts to the way they play it, but they also tend to go a little ham on it sometimes.
Well, I want to say that first episode, they crammed a whole lot in there.
They also crammed a lot, and that's confusing. But yeah, I don't know. It's not completely believable to me, but there were parts
I'm
that
happy
were
they
good.
did cram all that in there, because the interesting stuff is the other monsters and when they confront them. So, like, I'm glad they just did an episode and got that done with. So,
all right. Well, let's spend a short time on a couple of shorts that aired on Tuesday, July 2nd. First one is Magical Senpai, which is on Crunchyroll. It's like a 12.5-minute short. Also known as Tejina-senpai. The source of the manga and the studio is Leiden Films, and the director, Fumiaki Usui, is a first-time director and was, like, an assistant director on Love and Lies and Yamada-kun and the Seven Witches, among other things. But yes, so maybe the most fun thing about this show is the episode titles, which are stupid.
You know, this is not that complicated of a show. It's an ecchi show. It's just a show with a girl with tits and an ass, and she does magical tricks, and you get to see her with her bra and panties on.
And she fails every single one.
Yeah, like it's not complicated, and it doesn't need to be spent too much time on. It's a short. If you like seeing girls that are half naked do dumb things and make fools of themselves, then you should watch the show.
Basically. Yeah, main girl looks a lot like the main girl from Dagashi Kashi, so if you're into that style, go for it. Yeah, it just didn't make me laugh that much, and like the guy who is like the straight man for all of Tejina's bullshit has like zero chemistry with her, which makes it...
I never laughed. I don't know what you thought was funny.
I think it was just the one where she like gave birth to a pigeon. I thought that was like kind of funny, but that was about it.
But it was also excessively erotic. Like, it did not have to be like that. It just didn't. Like, I don't know.
I agree, yeah. All right, next short, Are You Lost? Another Crunchyroll 15-minute shorts. This is Japanese title Sonan Desu Ka? The source is a manga from Studio Ezola, who made Happy Sugar Life. It's also from the same director, Nobuyoshi Nagayama, who made Happy Sugar Life. So the one thing I'll say about the show, the time to peen in another girl's mouth was way too short. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, this is a Lost on an Abandoned Island survival show, but it's also, like Kat said, just a fucking ecchi show with a bunch of girls with humongous tits just running around, being dumb, eating stupid things to survive, and like peeing in each other's mouths.
I did find this one actually funny at moments.
Nice.
Like, and I think it's the other girl's reaction to like the blonde pigtailed girl who just like will eat a cicada out of nowhere, and they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, because she's like the survival enthusiast girl, basically. Yeah, I don't know, what do you think, Kat?
It's okay. It's just another erotic show.
Yeah,
like I'm not into it, but whatever.
Yeah, I found the show kind of whatever. When I watched the second episode, like, I can be flat out bored for 3 minutes, and then I'll get a chuckle, and then I'm bored for another 3 to 4 minutes, and then I chuckle again. And I mean, I probably, if I need to kill like 12 minutes for whatever reason, I would watch another episode. But that's about it.
That's the thing about shorts; they're just so low investment that it doesn't matter that much if you don't even like it. Like, it's just like, maybe I'll get something.
The only time I'm going to spend too much time caring or talking about a short is when it's really good, and these are just not good.
Exactly.
So.
Speaking of shorts, we need Surizuri Children season 2.
Season 2, please make it. All right. On Wednesday, July 3rd, Astra Lost in Space aired. Japanese title is Kanata no Astra. This is on Funimation. The source is a manga. The studio is Lerche. And the director Masaomi Ando directed School Live, Scum's Wish, and White Album 2. 3 very good shows. So, yeah, they went all out with this first episode. They made a big double-length thing.
And I didn't realize that when I started watching it. I was just sitting here, and it just kept going and going until I finally looked at the timestamp. I was like, fuck, if I knew this was an hour, I wouldn't have sat down and watched it now.
I was so mad.
I'm busy.
I was like, why did they make it I hate it when shows are like, we're going to sneak another episode in, but we're not going to tell you we're doing that. I just say it's 13 episodes. I don't know why. Anyway.
Yeah, it's fun.
It was good in the terms of I liked the content. It's just I wish instead of doing that, they would just make another episode.
Okay, that's interesting. I think it worked in that it got the whole premise out there in one shot and got it all out of the way, which is good. Probably a better way to sell the show to people, I would think. So, yeah, basically the premise is we're on Earth. There's these 8 kids who have signed up for Planet Camp, which is like space camp, but like actually in space, where they get on a spaceship and they're dropped off on a planet called Mikpa. They also have a special task, because apparently every Planet Camp there's one special task, and their special task is to bring along the 10-year-old younger sister of one of these like high school girls. So they can have a lolly in the cast. Oh wait, I mean, so they can fulfill their special tasks. Sorry. One of the funnier things about this little girl, Funisha, is that she's pretty shy and she doesn't communicate very well. So she has like a sock puppet named Bigo that like reads her true thoughts and says them for her in like a grumpy old person voice. That was weird. But like
a little bit
something.
The first episode is all about sort of focusing on two of the real main characters of the group. One is Kanata, who the show is named for. The other, Kanata is a guy. He's like sort of Genki, and he wants to be the leader of the group really badly. And the other is Aries Spring, who is like a ditzy girl who is just kind of like happy to be there, and she's excited about going to space. The episode flashes back a million times to Kanata's backstory, where he was like on like a field trip or something with his teacher when he was growing up, and got into trouble, and his teacher like fell off a cliff and died, and Kanata had to like let go of him. And so ever since then, Kanata's been like learning like survival training, and his teacher's last words were like, "Go to space," because like I think that's where you belong, basically. And so Kanata's been striving for that ever since. And so basically, long story short, they get to this planet, right? They're dropped off, and then immediately this weird sphere appears out of nowhere, and it starts like sucking them into like the event horizon of the sphere one by one as they try to run away from it. Everybody's sucked in, and on the other side, they're like transported through like a wormhole into outer space, and they're just floating around. And so most of them are able to like orient themselves and use like boosters, because they were wearing spacesuits, luckily, to get back to like a nearby spacecraft that they pop out next to. But one of them, Aries, the main girl, is floating way far away, and the boosters on her suit aren't working. And so they have to think quickly, and they attach a wire to Kanata, and then he goes out to try to like catch her, and gets within like, you know, dramatically gets within like 2 feet, and then it's not enough length.
That was a little dramatic for a part. Like, basically, they do save her. They all work together. They end up saving her. Then they find out that in order to get home. Oh, go ahead, Leo.
How they saved her is so they formed a human chain to eventually get to her. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, why didn't they? Because he takes the rope off. I'm like, pull the fucking rope in.
Yeah.
And send somebody else out. Ta-da! Yeah. Let's not risk every single fucking person's life.
Yeah, that was a little weird, but like, I don't know. It worked
really
out. It was supposed to be like, we're all in this together. Like, you know, that dumb song or whatever. That's what it was supposed to be.
And it was an anime decision, because in the manga, they do use the wire again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
God damn.
God.
I thought that was really funny. So
that is funny.
They did it for the drama, yeah. But yeah, they get back on the ship. They figure out by like scanning the planet and the stars nearby, they're like 5,000 light years away from where they're supposed to be. And
but this bugged me. So they think about it. They're like, okay, we can travel for like, what is it, 20 days?
Yeah, between different planets. Yeah.
Only have so many supplies.
But why? Okay, so that area they're in, I know damn well I could get more than 20 days worth of food in that area. And you know it too. They could cram that shit in there. Don't even lie to me. Like, that's bullshit.
Like the first planet they hit, you mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah, they could load up on way more food and cram it in there.
It depends on, because the food will expire at some point. How are they going to keep it from expiring, you know?
No, you can smoke. A lot of what they get is meat. You can smoke meat.
Yeah.
It will last a lot longer.
It's true.
The biggest thing would be the water. But even then, like, there are not that many of them. Like, they could fit enough water for, like, what,
you're
20 times 5?
They need the girl from Are You Lost to be in Astra to help them out.
They could fit
She's
30
got some
days
water
worth
for
of
you.
water for all of them. 30 days worth of water for all of them. They could cram it. Even if the whole ship was just that one room, they could cram it in there. And I'm pretty sure there were more rooms than just that one room. And the biggest thing would be the fuel, because I don't remember how they said they were getting their fuel.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I forgot that one too.
Yeah, so like, to make a long story short, like, yeah, they just...
So basically, they contrived a reason why these bitches are going to have to go to 5 planets, and we're going to watch them go to these 5 planets. But be aware, that's a giant plot hole, and they did not need to go to all 5 of those fucking planets.
I think the water is restricting, though. But
it's not that restricting, though. You don't need to drink that much water. You do need to drink water, but it's not like you have to drink a gallon every day to survive.
Yeah, but they also have to, like, shower. Well, I guess they don't have to shower.
No, they don't. They don't have to.
They can all just be fucking smelly as hell.
3 months?
Like,
yikes.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, they're not here for, like, a fun camp out. They're here to get their ass back to civilization and survive. Okay?
Yeah.
Like...
If you're wondering why they can get home in 3 months when they're 5,000 light years away, it's because they do have actual, like, faster than the speed of light travel, which is nice.
Let's talk about episode 2.
Yeah.
I actually liked this one more than the first episode.
It's a little bit goofier, but yeah.
It's goofier, but I think it did a better balance of the wackiness and then suspense.
Mm-hmm.
And it also just intrigued me that apparently somebody on board sabotaged their communication system.
Yeah, that's like the big mystery going forward in the show, is like which one of them did it.
Yeah.
Early on, I'm thinking that, like, the girl who never talks is suspicious, Yunhua.
That's what I put down, too.
Yeah. She's definitely very suspicious, but, like, that would probably be the first one that a lot of people would go for. Either that or, like, the Sasuke guy who's named Ulgar, who's, like, really dark and moody. But, like, yeah, my 2 main guesses at the beginning were the Yunhua girl and then Shars, who's, like, the blonde pretty boy. Because, like, I'd never trust a pretty boy. Ever. Never trust them.
One of Bcom's 10 rules to live by. Never trust a pretty boy.
Nice. I don't know. I don't know who I think right now. It's interesting that they have that element. But
it made me think, I cannot remember the show. Maybe you can help me. But it was... like a fantasy show, and one person in the group was a traitor, and they had to go to these ruins to stop something.
Oh,
and it turned out...
I know what you're talking about. Shit.
Yeah, I don't want to reveal who it is.
Roka no Yusha, Braves of the Flowers, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that was it. But that one had just basically a character do a complete 180 on their personality, and you're like, how the fuck was I even supposed to predict that?
Yeah. I'm really hoping that doesn't happen with this show. Like, I really hope that they're really planning this out, and that the reveal of the villain is going to feel
that
good.
Character became just a different fucking character. And
exactly.
I was like, what?
We'll see. I hope that show doesn't go down that route. But yeah, this show looks pretty good. I think one of the last things I'll mention about this that I think is kind of funny is whenever they're in space, the aspect ratio of the video fills the screen. Whenever they're not in space, there's black bars on the top and bottom of the screen, which is an interesting choice. So whenever they're in space, it makes it feel like it's more of a sensory experience, like they're seeing the full picture, whereas if they're not, it's tightened up. It's kind of interesting. But yeah. All right, next show, Demon Lord Retry on Funimation.
You wrote too much for this.
Woo, this is fun times.
Can I sum it up? This show sucks. There's little to nothing of interest, and going by the OP, it looks like he will be creating his own harm. The end.
I mostly want to talk about episode 2 and the journey I had. I don't even need to talk about episode 1 that much, but like, yeah, the Japanese title, Maosama Retry. Source is a light novel. Oh god. The studio is...
We don't need to talk about this that long.
Okay, it's fine. The studio is Akache Apilka, who made Crossing Time, which some people liked, and the director, Hiroshi Kimura, like, directed like that little short show, Military, Hamatora the animation, stuff like that. The show is basically about this 45-year-old guy.
No, you don't get... Okay, so, like...
Yeah.
Bcom has this giant paragraph.
Oh, I'm not going to read all of it. I was about
this show is not that interesting.
It's not. It's not, but it's fucking hilarious how bad it is.
What this show is like... you were transported into the video game you created, and there's a hot girl who's very cute and little, and she's going to be your little sidekick. And the most annoying thing to me is they made the cute little girl like, oh, she was shit on by everyone in the village. Yep. Who do you know who's a hot, cute little girl who everyone shits on like that? That's not a thing. That's bullshit. Okay?
Uh-huh.
That's bullshit.
Oh,
and
boy.
this whole show is just like, look at this this man who gets all these girls around him, and he gets to punish them by spanking them on the ass. That's what this show is.
Oh, God, the second episode is so good.
Dude, after the first episode, I was like, I am not watching the second episode. This is not worth my time.
Great.
It's not worth my time.
It's mediocre. Maybe if you really like isekais, you could watch this. It's not worth your time. It's not worth anyone's time, but it exists. That's about all I can say about it.
I was just like, by the moment like he was picking up that pink hair girl in the second episode and just like spanking her on the ass repeatedly, I was just like, that was about the third time I had dropped the second episode when I saw that scene.
What?
Because like
you kept giving it a try.
5 minutes into the second episode, like Aku, like the main lolly girl, is taking her second bath in 2 episodes, and I'm like, oh my God. And then 1 minute later, she's like insisting that this 45-year-old guy who smokes like sleep in a bed with her, blah blah blah. And then like then that happens, and then like when they fight, like they play like fucking Van Halen guitar music over his shit. It's just the edgiest, dumbest thing ever, and it's kind of hilarious to watch. But it's also terrible. And yeah, like Kat said, just not. We don't really need to talk about it beyond that. I'd rather talk about the next show.
Yes.
How heavy are the dumbbells you lift? Funimation. Japanese title Dumbbell Nankila Moteru. The source is a web manga, and the studio is Doga Kobo, who finally made something that's not about pedophiles. Director is Mitsue Yamazaki.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. I like this show.
Yes, I was really worried what Kat would say, but I read this manga, and I fucking loved it, and when I found out it was going to be an anime, I was like, fuck yes. And then one thing that the manga did for me was, I kind of used it as a way to help me keep working out. Like, it motivated me, you know?
Yeah.
I even actually have a bunch of chapters, like, on my wall where you get to see the sexy girls showing you how to properly do the exercise and stuff like that.
I just am frustrated at because I think you wrote this down, too. Mm-hmm. I actually did also see, like, what her weight was.
Yeah.
And she is not overweight.
She's not overweight at all.
She's 122 pounds, and I was annoyed by that. I was like, come on now, because, I mean, maybe if she was like 5 foot, even then, though, she would be fine, but I do know some people who are barely 5 foot and like 125 or so pounds can look a little, just because they're so teeny. Mm-hmm. But like, I mean, she's 5'2", that's an extra 2 inches, she's fine. Like, I don't know. But, I mean, whatever. People in Japan have different standards, I guess.
Yeah, like, so they say she has like a 35% body fat percentage, and like the other girl, Akemi, who's like she befriends at the gym on the first day there, has like I don't know, like 10 or 15, something really low and athletic.
It's really not good for women to have like 10, though.
It's apparently not good for it to get too low. Yeah, that can cause issues.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't think it's good for women to have 10% body fat.
Well, if you're like an athlete or something,
maybe
it's fine. But yeah,
I guess
if you're a casual, no.
Yeah, it's not really sustainable for most people, most women anyway, to be at 10, because women just have a higher fat percentage in general. I would say 35 is too high, but 10 is a little too. So
yeah, there's definitely a lot of fat shaming that goes on with Hibike's character, and
there's a little. I would say it's countered by the fact that they have a very good attitude towards the way that they try and kind of teach the characters, and by teaching the characters, teaching you, the watcher, about the different exercises and things that can be kind of stressful and
honestly,
confusing.
she's the only one. She's fat shaming herself
a little bit, yeah. Like for I will say, like, the characters don't say like you're fat or anything.
No.
So it is her fat shaming herself, and I will say like there are things that when I started working out, I was very confused by, and when you read them on a website or whatever, they are not like easily retainable, or it just makes you stressed. And this is a good way for someone who hasn't worked out very much, and maybe they want to know a little bit more, but they are, every time they try to look things up, they're like, oh God, I can't.
They feel overwhelmed. A good way. Yeah,
this is a good way to absorb that without feeling overwhelmed. And so it's good in that way. It teaches you things. It's fun. It's positive about working out.
And it sounds like it's actually motivating people. And I'm like really happy about that. Like, I hear a lot of community members like actually working out now, and Bcom even said he went along with the ED at one point or something like that.
Every episode, I've group watched every episode with some friends, and at the end of every episode, there's a segment where they're like, "All right, it's workout time, it's exercise time after the ED." And every time I've done those exercises, like with my headphones on in voice chat.
Nice.
And varying levels of success, because like the exercises are getting a bit more difficult as the show goes on, but for the most part there's stuff you can do at home with like minimal stuff. Only one of the exercises require dumbbells. Most of them can just be done with body weight, so it's very good targeting for people who are just at home with nothing else to do. So I like that about the show.
I'd say overall it's positive. There are a few things that are negative about it, but I think it's a good thing, especially for anime fans. Like, a lot of us are in our houses chilling, so this is it's positive and it's fun. I will say I'm annoyed that Funimation has it, because like they only have it on their site that I could find, and I do not enjoy their site because like I'm not paying for just one show, so I have to watch all these goddamn ads, and I'm like, fucking hell, why couldn't Verve have this? And also, I could only find the dub. Is Funimation not putting out the sub at all?
Oh, no, they are. It's Funimation's site is hard to navigate.
It is.
Well,
I don't
think
like
it
Funimation.
Always converts to the dub, which drives me insane, so I always have to change it every single time back to the sub.
It's frustrating.
If you have an account, you can go into your settings and set it so the primary language is Japanese.
Okay, I need to do that.
But yeah, it's annoying.
And I know that probably sounds like bullshitty to people who enjoy dubs. I don't care what you think. I enjoy subs. It's more comfortable for me. This is the way I watch anime. It is what it is.
Same.
So yeah, get fit with that show for sure.
Yeah, no, and I do think there's a decent amount of chance that we may cover this. Like, I think it's a good show, and I enjoyed it.
Oh, I think we are. It sounds like you two really like it, and I already know I like it.
I don't, like, adore it, but I think it's a good thing, and it's definitely different. It's different than a lot of shows that have come out before, and I think when you see something different that's not just the same fucking formula every fucking season, then you should probably highlight it a little
I feel like this is kind of turning it into a new genre, because then there's, like, Cells at Work, where it's like a learning anime, and this one's a learning anime.
In a way.
I feel like that's eventually going to be kind of its own genre. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be. I agree with that.
All right, let's move on to the next show, which is totally different and totally.
It's a fucking trash show. It's a fucking isekai trash show, just like the one before. It's called Isekai Sheet Musician. All you need to know, it's dumb. Like, literally, they're walking down the street, and then there's light, and ooh, we're getting transformed. Like, and then the guy's like, I'm gonna die and save you heroically, which is dumb. That's the first episode. It's stupid, and I don't. This literally, I watched this at the gym. It made me angry.
Oh God!
When a first episode makes me angry, you're in for a bad time. This is so poorly made. That's all I can say.
I will say it is very poorly made, but there is one thing about it that I like. And that is that, like, Taichi, the main guy, and girl Rin are, like, childhood friends, and they're both summoned to the other world together at the same time. And Rin makes a big deal in the first episode. Taichi and her get attacked by this, like, this obsidian horse demon. And he tries to, like, sacrifice his life to protect her, basically. And she makes a big deal of saying, like, don't you ever fucking do that again. Because, like, I don't want that. Like, I don't ask for that. Like, and he's like, all right, from now on, we will tackle everything together. We'll work together. And I kind of liked that. It's kind of part of the thing I liked about Sword Art Online, that Kirito and Asuna, like, were a team and worked together. Now, having said that, by episode 2, you find out that Taichi has, like, infinite more power potential than Rin does. Even though Rin is also, like, one of the strongest mages in the world. They, like, measure their power. But their power works differently because, like, she can draw on the elements of the world, but he can like literally like make bonds with like the spirits of the world themselves, and so he's told that he could basically topple like civilizations and empires if he wanted to with his power. So
that's how OP they made him.
Yeah, it's OP as fuck, like as usual with an isekai. But okay, so the only thing I would say would be a draw to the show is that relationship though between that guy and the main girl, and how they're like teammates as opposed to just like, oh, she's another girl in the harem. Will that change? Possibly. But I think it starts out pretty decently.
So my thoughts during the first episode was, I was just like, crap, it's an isekai. I don't know what to say from the first episode. I'm like, okay, well, we'll just have to wait and see if it can, basically set itself apart from other isekai. Let's see if it can do anything. Then I watched episode 2, and I'm like, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's just very straightforward and didn't really feel like it was going anywhere for me.
All right. On Thursday, July 4th, we had a show air called If It's For My Daughter, I'd Even Defeat a Demon Lord on Crunchyroll. Japanese title, I'm going to try and say it. Uchi no ko no tame naraba, ore wa moshikashitara mao momotao seru kamoshiranai.
No, that was a bad call.
The source is a web manga. The studio, Maho Film, this is their first show that I've ever seen them make.
It's basically a show where this guy finds a cute orphaned demon girl, and he's like, "Oh, she's so sweet."
Yeah, I saw that in the synopsis, and I was like, "I'm not even putting this on my list. Fuck it."
And he's like, what, 18, 19, and he adopts this cute girl, and like his
she's
older
like
friends,
7, I believe.
Yeah, his older friends who run an inn like help him with her, and it's very adorable and cute, and I enjoy watching it from week to week. But I have heard, I haven't, from the episodes I've seen so far, I don't find it to be fetishizing her at all.
I totally do.
I don't at all, but I did hear that at the end, like, they somehow get together, and that's creepy and weird, because, like, he's supposed to be her dad figure, and that's weird. But from what I've seen, I haven't found anything creepy about it so far, Bcom. I think sometimes you're a little aggressive with that. Yeah. But I don't like the fact that eventually this ends up like, like some of the other shows we've seen before do this, where eventually they end up together, because that is weird and creepy. That shouldn't be a thing.
So here's what I'll say. This show, there is literally nothing to the plot besides look at how cute this girl is. Whereas, like, when you have a show like Sweetness and Lightning, where it's about, like, a single parent trying to care for his daughter and then, like, meeting a woman who helps him out, and, like, all of the like stuff around that, like there are multiple characters in that show besides the little cute girl. Or Barakamon, where it's about like the guy who's like trying to like get back into his calligraphy career, and he's like inspired by this little girl to like work on that. Like that's a bigger show about multiple things, whereas literally there's nothing in this show besides look at how cute this girl is. She's so cute. Oh my god, she's so cute. Oh my god, she's sleeping in the same bed as him. Oh my god, this is so cute. It's just so annoying, and like all of the interactions that would otherwise be cute are undercut by the fact that this goes the Usagi drop way at the end, and it's just like, ew.
You both have convinced me that I made the right choice in not watching this show. Thank you.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's pretty fetishy, but your mileage may vary on that for sure. All right, moving on to Friday, July 5th. Let's get into some of these big shonen shows now. We've got Dr. Stone on
which was promoted to hell and back by Crunchyroll.
When I was at the anime convention, the Anime Expo, there were flyers for this fucking everywhere on every available service. I was like, holy shit, calm down.
I noted how, like, at the beginning of the episode, there's, like, a unique Crunchyroll opening that is, like, Dr. Stone themed. So, like, yeah, they're throwing some weight behind this show. Like, they want this to be good.
It's good, though. It is a good show.
It's
like,
fun.
I think his hair, what's the main character's hair?
Senku.
Green.
Yeah.
His hair's weird. I don't understand why they made that decision.
It's for him to stand out.
You know how you can spot
like
the main
Yu-Gi-Oh
characters. You know how you spot the main characters in the show, right? You've seen that meme, right?
Yeah.
Well, okay, but like he looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh character, and I thought we had moved past this. I thought we had moved past this moment where everyone's hair has to be weird and stick out at strange angles.
Well,
I thought this was a 90s thing and we were done, but apparently
from a manga.
not.
When was the manga made?
I don't know. The director also is a first-time director, which is interesting.
I like it. I like the way they handled everything. It feels very magical at the beginning, but then they have a lot of science based too. And then we have to make this. And this is the process
I take back that
people
statement.
use.
It was first published March 6th, 2017.
Yeah. So this
close.
is some bullshit. And I like the way they're kind of like, okay, so if you want to make this alcohol, you have to do these steps, and it'll be easy. And then you find out it's not so easy, and they have to try again. And I like that part. It's very scientific. It's very it makes me think like Bill Nye the Science Guy. On this episode, they're making X, and then they have to find a way to do it.
Okay.
It's fun.
Yeah, for me, it reminded me of there's a YouTube channel I follow called Primitive Technology, where this guy goes into the woods and like builds stuff that like ancient civilizations would use to like form a civilization basically and like support themselves. And so yeah, when they're like fermenting the grapes into wine and stuff like that to form into not nitric acid, but to make nitric acid into nitral to try to get people out of these stone encasings. Like, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I kind of like this.
The stone casings kind of mess with me because it's shown people get fucked up just being in like solitary confinement for like a very short amount of time, just a couple days. So like, people would be absolutely insane if they were conscious and trapped in stone this whole time. What was it, 3,700 years?
Yes.
Yeah, because I could buy like one or two people being like insane, but being able to deal with it. But not all these people. I don't know. Because the part where he's like, and I just thought about how much I loved her for thousands of years. I'm like, I don't know, dude. And like, I just counted. No, eventually you would stop counting. I promise you would.
The counting thing is so dumb.
It's like no one counts for 1,000 years. No one would be able to do it. That's bullshit.
Yeah,
Also,
it's 3,700 years.
Who writes E equals MC squared on their stupid tunic? Like, what the fuck? He's such a nerd. Oh my god, I love it.
So yeah, I mean, the 1,000 years thing, it would be more believable if they like were in a sleep kind of state where they were kind of aware.
No, but they were
like
conscious the whole time. I'm like,
maybe if they were like slightly aware, but mostly like falling asleep. I could get that. Mm-hmm. But not conscious the whole time.
I do want to just shout out the studio TMS Entertainment because like this anime does look pretty darn good. Like especially the background art, I think they spent a lot of time on making that look good. Especially as like the civilization like is eaten away by like the thousands of years of like natural overgrowth. That looks cool.
So the whole series is basically everyone in the world was turned to stone. No one really knows yet why. They haven't gotten into it in the first few episodes. Mm-hmm. A couple people managed to get themselves out. They were high schoolers. They have to sort of decide who they're going to... They figure out how to get people out. So they have to decide who they're going to get out and what kind of society they want to create. And they also need to develop the technologies that people used to have in order to live in this kind of post-apocalyptic world. So it's interesting and it's fun.
Yeah, I like the in the second episode they break out Tsukasa, and him and Senku kind of have like a clash of ideals. And how they should do society, and I was like, whoa, this is cool. I don't
disagree that there are some points where he's right. Like older people tend to like push down on younger people, especially rich like people. Mm-hmm. Like that's not incorrect, but also you can't just fucking kill people because you don't like them. So it's like it's a little one, a little the other. They both have good points.
And I do think it's funny the Crunchyroll article that got written about like how did what's her name Yuzuriha? How the fuck did her headband survive for 3,700 years? That's just really good.
Oh my god, no. Okay, so like it is well done and it's a good show, and I think we will most likely cover it just because of the strength of how it was produced, and it's entertaining and it's really it's well done. So
I could see us covering it. It'll be close though. It'll be interesting to see. I think it has a good chance. All right.
I think it will. But
I think we will too.
All right, then I guess it's very likely.
Becomes like, oh, I thought maybe
no. I would be fine covering this.
You're stuck with it.
I think I like this more than the other big shonen that we're going to talk about in a couple minutes. So, all right, next show though. Wasteful Days of High School Girls on High Dive, also known as Joshi Kosei no Muda Zukai, web manga, Studio Passione, and the director Hijire Sanpei has directed like He was an assistant director on Roku no Yusha, Leo, so that's good, I guess. Yeah, I hate this show. I'm sorry.
I had a hard time.
Yeah.
Because it reminded me of that show with the one foreigner girl with the...
Asobi Asabase.
Yeah, it reminded me
That's
slightly
literally in
of
my
that.
notes. I couldn't help but compare this to Asobi Asabase. But it's like a failed version of it to me.
Yeah. That's
So
how
I just didn't like it.
It's not totally failed, right? Like, there are parts of it that are slightly funny, but it's definitely not as funny as Asobi Asabase. I like the opening a lot, oddly. It's actually interesting and well done. Some of the jokes are funny, and there are good points in this anime. I wouldn't say it's terrible. I'd say it's mediocre, just like some of the isekais we covered.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's terrible, but there's a lot of things that annoy me about it, basically.
Yeah, there are things in it that are bad, but you have to admit there were funny points, like the point where the high school teacher is like, "I like college girls," da 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 da, and like lists off, and all of the girls just their hopes are dying because it's an all-girl school. That's funny. You have to admit that that's funny.
Some parts were funny, but then it would just drag on for a while, and also another show that's about high school girls that I think is way better this season, Maidens in Your Savage season. I think it's way above this show.
Oh, it is. Like, by far.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not arguing with you. Like, that show for sure is better than this show. I'm just saying that this isn't terrible. It's just mediocre. And I would say that some people really enjoy this. And it's a fun... I call these animes like this junk animes, where it's nothing high quality. It's not anything you're going to take to the Academy Awards if there were such a thing for anime. But it's good and it's fun, and some people will enjoy it.
Yeah, I just want to say,
that's okay.
One of the problems I have with this is just watching it on High Dive, because there are a lot of translators' notes like required to understand certain jokes.
And then you have to pause and read the note. That is
it's
annoying.
like a paragraph of text on the screen, and it's so ridiculous. And High Dive also makes no delineation between foreground commentary and background chatter. Like,
you have to point out at the same time, Bcom, what else is their alternative? Because I would rather know those things than not know them, right?
Yeah,
so
it's true.
It is annoying.
Yeah.
But, like, their alternative is people don't understand the joke. And so I get them explaining it. It's just a little annoying to have to get through.
Yeah, I think they just need to they would need to do a better job of, like, italicizing some of the stuff that's, like, in the background chatter from the foreground. And then just, like, leaving the translator's notes on screen maybe a little bit longer, even though that's, like, not a great thing either. I don't know. It's just,
I think after like the third time I had to pause it, I just skipped them. I stopped. I didn't care anymore.
Yeah, it got annoying. And so, and it's a bad sign for a comedy when you have to explain all the jokes. And part of it's just because it's a very Japanese-centric comedy show. I think Japan might like this show a lot more than the United States does, but I don't know. We'll see. All right. Ready to move on? Got 2 more shows in this first half.
Okay, so Granbelm, I can't say the name of this.
Granbelm
is the next one.
I want to talk about this one because this is like maybe one of my favorite shows of the season.
Really?
Oh no!
I didn't even watch it because I looked at the.
I told you specifically to watch this.
I
Leo.
know, and I still forgot about it. And
I can't believe
when I look at
this is your favorite fucking show.
And when I look at the
season,
key visual, I'm like, why does he think I'm going to like this fucking show?
It's not good. It's not good because
it's
I
really
watched
good.
The first episode. I was watching it and I was going, "This is boring. There's nothing in this to interest me.
Well,
it's
I think
just
we
a
know
magical girl show."
I think we know what Bcom's lock is this season.
I got my lock. Great.
The only thing I can say for it, Bcom, is it's well animated, and I guess you do fucking like that.
I do.
So congratulations, Bcom. It's a bunch of pretty girls with nice art.
It's also
is that what you want?
No, I like the story too. It's also an original anime. It's from Studio Nexus, who did Comic Girls and Wakaba Girl. Wakaba Girl is actually a good short show if you want a good short. And the director directed ReZero, which you may have heard of, and Wakaba Girl. And so, coming off of ReZero, this director is definitely continuing to show he can craft like really visually compelling anime. And yeah, basically this is a show about like cute little girls, but they're in like Gurren Lagann mechs, or like a lot of people have said like SD Gundam mechs. Like basically the main girl's got pink hair. She's basically the Madoka of the show from Madoka Magica. There's an illusionary world which is overlaid on top of the real world that she lives in. And she gets transported there in the first episode and is like thrown into the middle of this mech fight that's going on. And she's like running around, doesn't know what the hell's happening. But she slowly learns that like this, she meets this one girl with black hair whose name is Shingetsu. And they have a conversation after like the battle has quieted down about like what this is all about. And it's basically this war between different mages, or actually descendants of mages, who are trying to capture like basically this holy grail, this power of magic, so they can become full level mages and stuff. And it's like this ongoing battle that happens like when the full moon is like at its strongest power, blah, blah, blah. Very magical bullshit. I really liked episode 2 a lot, because it goes back to the normal world, and it gets into Mangetsu's like decision to like whether she wants to become one of these like fighters in this mage war, basically. At the end of episode 1, she had like basically had this moment of like self-actualization where she like gets her own mech and gets this power from this big thing called Magia Conatus, and like kicks ass in the mech while like awesome music plays. But then she's like,
there's no reasoning or like plot of why she was picked or like what's going on.
Well, that's part of the mystery.
Really.
Yeah.
But like they explain like, oh, there's this other world and they had magic, but it's like, but why do we care? Like there's nothing about this plot that makes me care.
Well, they explain that like the real world used to have magic flowing through it in like ancient times. And then it got too dangerous. They started using it against like civilizations and against people. So like these 7 sages locked magic away in this thing. And now the only way you can become a mage is to battle in this Granbelm thing. This sort of like battle royale with like cool mechs to determine who can become the princeps, which is like the ultimate mage or whatever. So yeah, like it's a pretty like straightforward setup, but I just really like the way that Mangetsu and Shingetsu, the 2 main girls, like talk about like whether Mangetsu should do this. Like Shingetsu is like, I should just erase your memories and you should never be a part of this again. And Mangetsu has something deep down inside her, like she's kind of bullied at school because she just like makes sandwiches for like everybody at school and like does all these like menial chores for them and all this stuff because she feels like she has no self-worth, like that there's nothing that she's good at. And when she finally discovers like, hey, there's this one thing that only I can do, she doesn't want to like forget her memories of it. And even though it like might lead her into great danger, she feels like she has to become part of it. And so it's just like a really interesting like start to like the hero's journey, I feel like, for her character. And it's really well animated. I can totally see why you don't like it. Like it's not a show for everybody. I hate the first 30 seconds of episode 2 where they like zoom in on her naked body, and I'm like, all right, if the show does more of this, it's done. But like everything outside of that was like really impressive to me. I thought it was really good. So yeah, I don't know. And we don't get many interesting girl mech shows like this that come around. So
I don't know, Bcom, I guess.
I don't know.
I despair of your taste sometimes.
You just don't like the character designs, and I get that. I totally do.
No, it's not even about the character designs, Bcom. When I was watching it, I just couldn't make myself care. Like, I want to be invested in the show I'm watching and have interest in it, and like, I couldn't even I had to fight to pay attention in a way I didn't have to fight to pay attention to Wasteful Days of High School Girls.
Well, yeah, I was fighting for that one too. Yeah.
See, to me, if it's harder for me to concentrate and I have to rewind it several times because I drifted off into like Neverland more than with a frankly like purposeless show like Wasteful Days of High School Girls, then that tells me it's not good at grasping your attention as a
is
show.
Exactly what just happened to me. Listen to Bcom do this synopsis.
Yeah, it's not good at grasping your attention.
Well, Leo, I think you should probably watch the first episode or two before we vote.
It's your lock. I have to fucking watch it now.
I'm not going to necessarily lock it. Like I wouldn't lock it if I didn't have to. So you should probably watch it. So if you actually like it a lot, I don't have to lock it.
I don't think
Leo,
I will, man.
You need to watch it because we're gonna have to. You're gonna. He's
What's
gonna lock it,
Crunchyroll?
and you're gonna have to. And you have to at least try to understand what's going on.
I specifically told you to watch this show like multiple times.
Just try, Leo.
And
I tried.
It's in my queue.
Okay,
actually,
You know that I had to force myself to watch this too, but I did it. So we can both just suffer together, like we did with that other show. What was that called?
Fire Force.
No. But what was it, like 2 seasons ago with the weird transformation sequences and the
Wait, are you talking
and the
God, what is it? I'm blanking.
A show you and I both hated, but Bcom loved.
Yes, the one where we would both like zone
Review
off and
Starlight.
make fun of it. Well,
Review Starlight.
Yes,
No.
this is
Which
just
was
this
one
is
of the
gonna
best
be
shows of the year, by the way.
This is going to be another review Starlight, Leo, and we're both going to have to suffer through
Damn it.
and we're just going to have to suck it
See,
up
it's
and
really
do
funny
it.
because like a lot of the listeners are like, another review Starlight. Shit, I should watch this show.
And I like that we have the complete opposite.
All right, let's get into Fire Force. It's airing on Crunchyroll. The Japanese title is Enen no Shobotai. It's from a manga from Studio David Production, who makes all the JoJo's. And director Yuki Yase, who's pretty damn good. He made Hidamari Sketch X Honeycomb, which is like the 4th season of that, Mikaku City Actors, and Kubikiri Cycle. Also has some notable voice actors, like Aoi Yuki's voicing Tamaki, who's like the cat girl firefighter, and Mamoru Miyano voicing Benimaru Shinmon. But yeah.
Ooh, Leo, I thought it looked like Soul Eater too. I saw that in your notes.
Yes, so when I was watching this show, I watched 3 episodes, and I was just kind of jotting down notes as I watched it, and they're pretty funny because I'm a little bit all over the place. So at first, it's from a manga, and the creator is Atsushi Okubo. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, that's why I thought it looked like Soul Eater. Like, it was 100% Soul Eater. Mm-hmm. My next note is, oh, why hello there, Maki. She is fucking gorgeous.
But they treat her like garbage in these fucking episodes.
I don't know.
Yeah, like
I kind of like her witch hat too.
The first scene with the girls in this fucking show is basically like they show them naked in the shower talking about the guys. And it's oh my god, I hate this.
Japan being a different culture. They
fuck the
do a
different
lot
culture.
of community. They do a lot of community bathing, okay? And this being a firehouse, they probably have, it's a like 3 or 4 shower heads in one area. It's a
They're
locker
leering
room,
at
okay?
their fucking bodies. That's all it is.
And then I watched episode 2, and I was like, wow, this show's doing a really good job of showing it's going to take themselves seriously.
Yeah, episode 2 was better. I also liked episode 2.
And then I heard some rumors about episode 3.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, all right, let's go watch it.
Uh-huh.
And it made me eat those words so fucking hard.
What, you didn't like the cat girl firefighter?
Tamaki seems so out of place compared to the rest of the show. And like, it made me think of like Soul Eater. And I'm like, they had like the sisters that were like the sexy characters, but they weren't fondled up literally in the first minute they are shown.
Oh, it's her secret power, Leo. It's called her Lucky Lecher Lure. And there's no way he could resist just grabbing her breast and her ass. Like, no.
I'm hoping that the show goes back to normal, though, and that this was just a thing that happened.
Totally not.
Well, because, like, the first 2 episodes were really good, and I liked the grin, like, how he's... I don't know. Like, I liked a lot of the things
has
about
that nervous grin all the
His
time.
nervous tick is that he, like, smiles like an evil person. That's hilarious. I enjoyed that a lot. Like, there are a lot of things about the show that I liked a lot.
Here's where I'm going to make Kat's head spin. This show is, like, the best-looking show of the season, like, by far.
It is.
It is.
David Production has had a lot of influx of talent from Shaft Studio, people coming off, working off all the Monogatari stuff, they don't have anything to work on Shaft anymore, so they've kind of made exodus over to David Production to work on this and other things. It looks great. I still hate it. It's not all about looks, Kat. I hate this fucking show. I really do. It's just, I hate the way they treat the girl characters. It's just like My Hero Academia, except way, way worse. And I just don't think the overall story is that interesting yet either. It's like this weird, like, fire church thing. And it's like, also, okay, the fact that people are just, like, spontaneously combusting, and that's, like, the problem. Have you ever watched This Is Spinal Tap, Leo?
No. I know about it.
It's like the parody movie about, like, like a band that goes from, like, the 60s through the 80s and stuff. And there's this running joke in that movie where the drummer keeps, like, mysteriously dying in different ways. And there's this one time that the drummer just, like, spontaneously combusts on stage during a concert. And I couldn't stop thinking of that when I was thinking about Fire Force. Like, oh, people were spontaneously combusting.
I think it's funny how you didn't even ask Kat if she's seen it, because you're like, I know she hasn't seen it. Oh,
Kat may have seen it too, but I figured Leo had seen it. Kat hasn't seen a ton of movies, so
yeah,
it's true.
But yeah, no, like, I don't know. It was a good first 2 episodes. I'm hoping that it continues to be good throughout most of the series. That's all I'm saying. Okay, they had a good introduction, and they had some serious stuff in there.
Yeah.
And I think we should at least keep that in mind, that it did have a bad 3rd episode. Maybe that's just a fluke. I don't know. I kind of fell in love with the first 2 episodes. I'm not gonna lie, so I'm a little frustrated with it.
Yeah, pretty much. I am agreeing with Kat pretty much 100% on this anime so far.
I'm also kind of annoyed that 2 of the main girls' names are Maki and Tamaki. That's just annoying.
Yeah, that's a little confusing. Like, why? Yeah.
Why would you do this? The other thing I was slightly annoyed about is that, like, the girls fight in different outfits from the guys. Like, even even Maki, who is like a firefighter, wears like a witch hat instead of like a helmet. And I'm like,
I like the witch hat. I like the witch hat.
It looks cute, but it's like, dude, you need a fucking helmet. Like, what the hell? And then the other girl's just like a nun because she's, this is like a church of fighting fire. Mm-hmm. It's interesting.
They haven't explained that well enough
yet.
They need to explain.
I'm hoping they get into that because it is strange.
Especially after you watch the ED and you're like, this is a whole nother story.
Yep.
There was some interesting philosophical stuff in the 2nd episode where it was like, we're actually like murdering people, basically. We're not just fighting fires. And like they stopped and thought about that for a minute, and I was like, yeah, I guess that's kind of interesting. But I don't know. It's a tough job. Yeah, I don't know. The main character's okay so far, I guess. He doesn't have much personality, but he has like a weird backstory where he may or may not. Well, I guess he didn't kill his family or his mom. It was like some infernal fire spirit did it, but people think that he did, which is awkward.
His mom and his brother.
I also don't love that, like, the more generations of firefighters have been in your family, like, the stronger you are. I think that's kind of, like, I don't like stuff that's based on, like, bloodlines as far as, like, how powerful you are. So that was kind of, like, annoying to me, but I don't know. It looks amazing, so it's probably worth watching a little bit for that. It is 48 episodes long, so it's, like, strap in for a long firefighting journey.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm excited for it. I think that because it's so long, and the first 2 episodes were so good, there's no way that they're going to trash it totally. Like, they have to keep going with the serious aspects.
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's some good stuff in here. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of more fan servicey stuff. I've seen images from the manga. If they adapt, that will be interesting, to say the least. But yeah, it all depends on like what your like level of fan service that you can put up with is. So we'll have to see whether it takes away from the show or not. All right, so that is the first half of the summer 2019 season impressions. We will be back soon with the second half and with our final votes on what we're going to watch. We still have a lot of stuff to get through.
Yeah, we do. And then we got to make our vote and scream at each other and leave angry as we do every season.
Exactly. It's going to be good times.
I love it.
God.
Oh, it should be. It should be.
All right. Mm-hmm. We will see you in the second half. Hey dude, you into anime, manga, and all that radical stuff?
Oh yeah, man, it's tubular.
Then you should totally check out the...
This transmission has been hacked. If you want discussions, debate, reviews, and all in between, you must listen to the Anime Radicals Network at www.animeradicals.com. There's timely reviews, revolutions, mecha, and much more. Find it on iTunes, Google Podcasts, and all podcast catchers. The Anime Radicals Network.
The revolution will be simulcast.
And we're back with part 2 of our summer season impressions podcast. It's a few days later. We got delayed for reasons and things, and it gave us more time to catch up on anime and watch a more episodes. So.
Yeah, very true. I also found out a little bit of movie trivia.
Oh, tell us.
Which is really cool. So, okay, the government you have a pretty good say in like what goes in the movies and stuff. Like, I guess if you have like fighter jets in the movies and they're like the American army, they have a rule that the enemy has to fire upon them first before they will fire back. So that's in every movie. So then, now that you know this little tidbit that, you know, the government kind of has a reach into this, you know, the government/military. So let's go back to Captain Marvel. And if you remember, I thought those like flashback scenes were like a little heavy-handed, felt a little bit forced, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out they had those either modified or put into the movie to be as a recruitment for female Air Force pilots.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So that's why I thought it seemed odd, or just not. It would quite kind of pull me out of the movie a little bit, because I guess that's what I was picking up on.
That's interesting. Yeah, I recently just finally watched that movie. I actually really enjoyed it a lot, like more than I
really
expected to.
Yes.
Like, especially the parts with like Samuel L. Jackson and the fucking cat were amazing. The Cthulhu cat.
The cat is
awesome.
Amazing. I was like, oh my god, it was great.
But I also thought Brie Larson was really good. She got a bad rap because of all the press stuff she did and the the flashback from that stuff. But
I actually considered naming like the next cat I get Goose.
You gotta wait for cool. Top Gun 2 to see if Goose makes a comeback from the dead.
Oh,
Zombie Goose.
That's funny you say. My friend Kyle, he just got 2 new cats for his daughter because her old cat died, and she named one of them Goose. Because of that exact same reason.
Nice.
When I just found that tidbit out about the movie, I'm like, maybe that's what I was seeing. I just thought it was really cool. I was like, I'm surprised I picked up on that. But I just thought it was cool.
That's interesting.
But you know what else is really, really cool?
What is cool? Anime?
Maidens in Your Savage Season.
Oh, Maidens.
The most aptly named anime I have ever heard.
It's pretty awesome. It's a good English name, because you were going by in the doc, you were going by the Japanese name Bcom, and I was like, what the fuck is this thing?
Yeah, Arifureta.
Why does he have this? I was like, what the hell anime is this? And
I had to type it into my anime list to be like, what the fuck is Araburu?
And then I realized what the fuck he was doing, and I was like, Bcom, stop it.
Yeah, for a long time in the doc, I usually just have like whatever my anime list calls things, and they usually stick to Japanese names a lot. And so I had to wait for High Dive to put episodes out and then put the actual official English title in there. So yeah,
it actually is hard when they change it so much, even if it is a good name, because then it's confusing back and forth.
Yeah, so let's tell people a little bit about this anime. So it's airing on High Dive, like I said. Its source is a manga which was written by Mari Okada, who's well known for screenwriting for anime. The studio is Les Deuce, and the director Masahiro Ando did that Under the Dog short from that Kickstarter, and Snow White with the Red Hair, Hanasaku Iroha, which is one of my favorite shows, but also Sirius the Jaeger. Oh no,
the Sparkle Pants Show.
Yeah, as Kat will forever know it, the Sparkle Pants Show.
I just can't ever remember the real name. I'm just like, the Sparkle Pants Show. That scene is seared in my brain forever. It will never. I still have flashbacks sometimes when I'm like having a nightmare. Like, oh god, no, the Sparkle Pants.
Kat's last words are
focuses
pants,
on.
No.
Oh god. It focuses on these group of schoolgirls who are sort of like, they're in a club together. It's like the literature club or something, right? I can't remember. I haven't watched this in a while. But they are coming to grips with their burgeoning sexuality And in a whole bunch of different ways. I like that each girl in the show is kind of dealing with that in a different way from the others.
Oh, yeah.
So you get a grip on like how a whole bunch of different types of girls might deal with this stuff. Do you guys have like a favorite girl in the show so far, or someone that you think is interesting?
Not so far, not a favorite, but I enjoy the differences in all of them. I like the girl, the one who pretends to be a prostitute.
Yeah.
I like her.
The blonde-haired one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I like her a bit too.
her.
She's very interesting, obviously.
Nina. Yeah, I don't know. I can't pick just by watching 2 episodes.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it takes a little longer. But
I'm
yeah,
not sure.
I do like the fact that that this even exists, because Japan is so like conservative usually. And it is a thing, like most middle school people are like, ooh, this thing called sex. Like, oh, I wonder, what is it about? And everyone's really interested in it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an interesting subject to explore. And it's cute and it's witty. And I like that.
I find it very, very funny too.
I love that scene when the main girl walks in on the guy next door and he's just jerking it.
I know. And he just looks at her and he's like, no. And
he just casually pulls his pants back up. Yeah, it's pretty good.
But then I think the thing I like almost as much or even more than that scene is later in that episode when she's like running away, kind of crying, and she like goes to this bridge over some train tracks.
Yeah.
And she's thinking about how big his dick was. And she's like, it would never fit down there. And then this train whizzes
goes into
by
the tunnel.
and fits into the tunnel just barely. And she's like, oh, it did fit. And it was just like perfect symbolism. It was so
also,
hilarious.
We got the trope again of they fucking can't shut their goddamn doors, bedroom doors, whenever they're fucking masturbating or having sex or whatever.
I know. Okay, I don't get Japanese people in general. Why would you not have your front door locked? Why would you just have it so anyone could come in your house? Apparently, this is pretty normal in some areas of Japan, and I'm just like, that is strange. Especially when you're jerking it.
Well, I can't remember if she might have a key too, because like their families are so close, like, and they're bringing like food over for him and stuff. I can't remember though if she had a key or not. His door was probably just open, but yeah, they're very close, and obviously she's gonna start thinking differently about him soon. I like also the leader of the literature club, who's kind of like a stuck-up girl
Rika.
who, she doesn't want to talk about sex at all, but like that very quickly starts to change when like this one boy in her class starts standing up for her when everybody else is like making fun of her, and she starts thinking about him a little bit.
And he's like, actually, I think she's kind of cute, you know? And then later on, he sees her with her glasses off, and they're at like that water trough thing, and her hair's down, and he's just like, whoa, you really are a babe under all that.
Yeah. And I just also like that the voice actresses Tomoyo Kurosawa and Chika Anzai are making a reunion in this show. They play Hitoha, who's sort of like the otaku ero manga girl, and then Nina, who is the one we talked about before, who's like nihilistic blonde hair. And they were the like 2 lead characters in Hibike Euphonium, and they did a great job in that show. So I'm excited to hear them again. But yeah, I like the show a lot. I think it's one of the better written shows of the season.
Oh, yeah.
And it's good. It's just intriguing to watch, for sure.
It is. It's very interesting, and it's definitely like something most people should be watching this season.
For sure. Good job, High Dive, on snagging this one exclusively. So
well, I mean, Verve has it too, because Verve owns High Dive now.
That's true. Yeah, you can get Verve. So what is Verve now? It's Crunchyroll and High Dive, or did
it's Crunchyroll, High Dive, and it has a few others too. Like it's eaten up.
Wait, didn't High Dive end their deal with Verve? I thought.
No, I still have stuff come up on there from Verve though.
Oh no, never mind. Okay, Funimation ended their deal with Verve, and it's High Dive that's on Verve.
Yes,
okay.
yes, because it used to be you could get Funimation on there too, but then they had to go fuck it up. And now you have to watch stuff on their platform, which sucks ass.
Funimation has a lot of stuff now, too. Yeah.
Oh, and I'm tired of their first of all, their fucking platform freezes all the time. I tried to watch Craft, and it froze 7 times. Just trying to watch one episode, and I had to restart it.
That might have just been the animation. We'll get into that a little later.
And I was like, I'll kill you. And every time it freezes, it makes you rewatch all the goddamn ads you already watched. And I'm like, I will murder your soul. And I hate it. I hate fucking Funimation's platform.
Speaking of hating things, do you love your mom and her 2-hit multi-target attacks?
No, I don't, because it's fucking perverted as hell.
I liked the premise until you basically figure out the mom wants to fuck her son, and I'm like, I'm done. It's like it's like when I threw up my hands and just walked away from my computer. Like
this could have been so cute. The first episode, I was excited. Like, it seemed like what they were gonna do is make it like just a twist on, the isekai. It's you're doing it with your mom. You can have some cute little moments in there. You could have even still had the
with
MILF.
Your mom.
Well, but like you could have still had cute MILF moments in there. You just don't need to have them interacting. Like, okay, so the scene that really was like fuck no for me, and I think for most people, was the scene in the second episode where she gets soaked in
goo,
like some sort of slime, and she like is all over her son, and like writhing, and like she's basically naked, and it's like she could have just been doing that by herself in the corner, or like with one of the other girls in the party.
So
and it could have been fine, and you could have still had your MILF moment, and then the guy and the son could have been like, "Oh no, I can't look," and it would have been okay. But they had to do that. I don't know.
Look, this is a very Freudian anime.
Wow. I never even watched the second episode because I watched the first one and I was like, okay. And then I saw screenshots of the second episode, and that scene particularly, and I was like, nope, I'm done. Not even going to bother. Too late.
Yeah, I agree. This is just like a missed opportunity. And, just so we say it, like, this is from a light novel, the studio's JC staff. And the director directed Love Hina, which kind of makes sense, and Zero no Tsukaima. But, like, yeah, I think they could have had they kind of had, like, a golden idea here, and they just fucked it up by making it too weird for most people to get into, basically. Like, they had a really strong idea, but...
Everybody saw the title and went, what's this?
Nope. Well, they were excited for, like, the first episode, and then the second one aired, and everyone was like, nope. And they really... And it's a shame because they have some cute, witty humor in here. There's some jokes that are cute and funny.
Yeah.
And like I said, the MILF thing could have been hot if they had just kept it to not interacting with her son. They just made a misstep and they went the wrong direction.
The son is also just an ass, which makes everything less fun.
Yeah, he's kind of a bad. But like, who isn't an asshole when they're a teenager? So like, I could see that being like, oh, he's a jerk at the beginning and then he learns.
Sure,
right?
Yeah.
But still, it was almost good and then they failed.
What about Lord El Melloi II's case files, open brackets, Rail Zeppelin, close brackets, Grace Note on Crunchyroll?
Yeah, what about it? Because I watched an episode and I was like, what the fuck is going on? I have no idea.
Wait, hold on. I just want to say what this is first. So it's source is a light novel. This is in the Fate Nasu-verse. It's okay. It's a basically direct sequel to Fate Zero in a lot of ways. The studio is Troika, and the director, Makoto Kato, directed Bloom Into You last year, and also has directed Beautiful Bones, Sakurako's Investigation. Go, Kat. What do you think?
Okay, so they aired the first episode 0 like 2 seasons before.
Yeah, it was like New Year's Eve is like when it officially dropped, I think, of last year.
And I was psyched. Like, I was excited, because then you couldn't tell that it was, like, a Fate thing. It just looked like a really interesting anime.
Oh, I could tell it was a Fate thing immediately.
Well, I couldn't, because I'm a dumbass. I was just excited, because I was like, I like this. And then they had to add all the confusing shit, and now I don't know what's happening, and I'm angry, because I was excited about it, and now I find out I have to watch all this other shit, which I haven't watched.
I was trying to remember, like, what did you find exciting about that, like, initial episode 0? Like, what hooked you about it? What did you like about it?
I think it's just the mystery of it, like the idea that this guy, he's not a good magician on his own, but he still has to run this school with like all these people that are much more skilled.
He was a magician? I didn't even fucking gather that.
Well, he's a mage, yeah.
A mage, yeah. And like the way he's doing this is like with wits and political maneuvering and everything. And I kind of like that idea. Like he is inferior to all of them, but he's still trying to keep his place for as long as he can, and he knows that he's inferior to all of them. I thought that was an interesting angle. And then you could tell that the like white girl, she's like, it's gonna be an interesting mystery with that. I don't know. And I liked the kind of smaller mystery in the episode with, they killed the cat, and it cursed you, and now you have to find the. It was interesting.
I was annoyed that they killed the cat. That was the only thing. I was like,
it upset
damn
me. But it was a good plot within the episode.
Sure,
and I liked it. And I was excited for more. And then they're like, oh, but really you won't understand anything that's going on. Fuck you. And I was like, God damn it. And I was mad.
So yeah, there's like a couple major mysteries in the show. There's like, so it's like 10 years after the end of Fate Zero, basically. And Waver Velvet, who is the main character, was like a major part in that Holy Grail War. And now he's like teaching at this school, the Clock Tower, which is like a school for mages. And so like one of the mysteries is like there's a lot of shady stuff going on with the mages at the school and like the mages in general and like mage families just like always vying for power, basically. The other mystery is that he has this assistant girl named Gray, who has a saber face because you can't have a fate without a saber lookalike. And so she's got that. And so she is kind of mysterious. We don't know exactly who she is. At least I don't. Maybe I'm missing something. But yeah, she kind of hates the look of her face. Like she tells him in the first episode or something that she's glad that he dislikes the look of her face. And he dislikes the look of her face because of dealing with Saber in the Holy Grail War. And he also thinks that Saber was the one to kill some people who were close to him in the Holy Grail War.
Okay, that makes sense. I don't know. I like it. I just
it's solid.
I have to watch
I think
stuff.
It's definitely meant for people who are like super into Fate Zero or remember Fate Zero well because it's been a while. So you may want to rewatch that show or watch it for the first time before you watch this because you'll get a lot more out of it.
Okay.
I think it's solid.
Maybe I should finally get. I have that on my list to try and do some of the Fates, but I just never have. I don't know. Maybe this will finally get me to do it. We'll see.
Yeah, I'll just say I liked episode 2 the most because that one was actually like a detective mystery. It was like a Sherlock Holmesian type story where he goes to a mansion and solves this magecraft mystery, and it's pretty good. And it had an interesting
that's the kind
ending.
of stuff I liked in the first, like the episode 0 or whatever. So yeah, it's fun. It's good. I would say it is a good show. It's just not approachable because of how much stuff you have to watch in order to watch this.
All right, now moving on to Sunday, July 7th. The Ones Within on Funimation, or Nakanohito Genome. This is a web manga adaptation from Studio Silverlink, directed by Shin Onuma, who directed Death March to the Parallel World Rhapsody. Watamote, which is actually pretty good.
That was good.
And
that one was good.
Kokoro Connect is pretty good, but he's done a lot of trash kind of shows lately, so I don't know. This is kind of one of those. I think I kind of like the premise of this more than the actual execution, which is like a bunch of YouTube Let's Players have been thrown into a death battle royale where they have to get 100 million views to escape, which is kind of funny. On like that's like a funny premise, but
did anybody see the second episode?
No,
I didn't either.
Not very good. It's a funny premise, but also okay. If you have 100 million views or whatever the fuck. Why would they then let you out? Because then they have all these people watching. They're not going to want to take you out then.
That's true. I think you've cracked it, Kat. I think you found the hidden, like, underneath the undertones of this anime.
It's not that hard. It's not a hidden undertone if it's that easy to figure out.
I asked about the second episode because I wanted to know if anybody died.
I may have watched it, but I don't remember.
If there's no real stakes here, like, I need people to start dying off. Otherwise, I'm just like, I know you're always going to succeed. And that's really boring.
All of the characters seemed very cut out and boring. Like, I couldn't be interested in any of the characters.
That was the problem for me. Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that was fun was the llama. The llama was slightly fun. It reminded me of Ass Class, except with the llama in that way. But it's just a mediocre, like, remembrance, really.
You didn't like the, wasn't it like a giant panda bear, like, running after them or something?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. It's pretty goofy and dumb. I don't know if it's, like, on the level of, like, King's Game and that it's, like, so bad that it's good, but...
It's not. It's that King's Game was, like, a gem of terribleness. Like, King's Game and that one, it's gonna bug me. I can't remember.
Junie Tyson?
That was pretty bad too.
Well, while you think about it, I'll dive into some idol shows that I'm sure we're not going to cover. But okay, I'll start with this first one, Restage Dream Days, which is on High Dive. It's based on a mobile game that also has like a manga. And the studio making it, or there's two studios, I guess, working on it. Yumeta Company, who made like Akan to Tokanojo. And the director of this show, Shin Katagai, also directed that show. And I guess Graphinica is also working on it, who did Judy Tyson. I will say, like, I don't think the show's very good. It's pretty bland as far as, like, cute girl idol shows go. But I do think that it was, like, slightly surprising for something based on a mobile game, just in that, like, it got really good animation in the first episode. Like, there was really fluid 2D animation of the dancing scenes that caught my attention. I was like, oh, that's actually, like, kind of worth watching. Like, a lot of idol shows don't have animation this good. As far as the story goes, though, it's like a really generic tale of girls at school forming a club to become idols. Like, smack yourself in the head if you've heard that one before.
It's very formulaic.
Yeah.
That's the problem for me. Is I watched it and it was okay, but it just, there was nothing special. It just felt like every other show I've seen ever.
Oh, I of course skipped over it.
Yeah, the only thing that was special to me was the animation, but you could just watch clips of the performance scenes and get as much out of the anime as you probably would otherwise. So, yeah. The other idol anime on Funimation is a boys one, Ensemble Stars. This is being made by David Production. This is like the first idol thing I think David Production has ever made. And the director, Yasufumi Soejima, is a first-time director who worked on a bunch of episodes in JoJo Part 3 and 4. Also, the music for this one is done by Tatsuya Kato, who did the music for Idolish 7 and Love Live Sunshine. So, and he's also doing the music for Dr. Stone this season. So, this show was really bland, I thought, for the most part. The protagonist is like, you know, your female producer who like never talks basically and has no personality. And then it's like a bunch of male idol boys. Like, the only twist was that the boys, when they get on stage, can literally just fight each other. Like, throw fists and shit, like, to determine who is the stronger idol.
Which is stupid. It wouldn't work in real life.
Yeah. And so, like, and the other twist is just, like, the main four idol boys want to, like, lead a revolution at their school because they think that the student council is oppressive and are like raising idols like livestock, and they want to revamp the system. So talent and creativity is more rewarded, which is like, that's fine. Otherwise, like, this just totally feels like a mobile game that has like oozed out onto your screen somehow. It just, all of the gaminess comes through every part of it, you know?
Yeah, I don't like anime where it might as well be a game. Like, if you're gonna revamp something from a game format, it shouldn't feel like a game. It should feel like its own thing. Yeah. Otherwise, what's the point? Why are you doing it? They could just play the game. So.
And the anime,
I'm looking at David Productions list, and yes, this does look like their first idol anime.
Yeah, I went through and I was like, I don't know. But yeah, the animation is not amazing, especially in the performance scenes. Though there was one random CGI scene in episode 2 where they were like watching another boys group and suddenly they were all in CGI, whereas like the rest of the performances had been in 2D. So that just felt kind of out of place, even though it looked okay for CGI performance stuff. I don't know. So I don't know what they're doing. It's weird. It's like a mix of both. So yeah, it's might be interesting if you like Idolish 7 or something. You might get something out of this, but otherwise I'm not sure. How about this next show, though?
Oh, yes. Yes. So good.
So, Vinland Saga, which is on Amazon Prime. It's like the only show on Amazon Prime this season.
I'm shocked that they have it. I don't know if they just bought it, like, way back.
Yeah, it might have been part of some other, like, older agreement. Because, like, it seems like anime on Amazon Prime is sort of waning down these days.
Yeah.
They don't get new ones anymore.
Yeah, since the last couple seasons, they've just been slowly... how many anime they're bringing each season, it's just been getting lower and lower and lower. And now that we're down to one.
And so this is based on a very popular manga, and Wit Studio, who of course make Attack on Titan, are making it. The director, Shuhei Yabuta, is the director for Inuyashiki. And he also did the 3D direction for Attack on Titan Season 1 and like Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress, stuff like that. So, this is like in some ways it's heavy 3D CGI, but also it's mixed in very well with the 2D, I would say.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like one of my major like reservations just watching episode 1, because like that first Viking ship battle on the water looks a little bit rough in places, and I was like,
"Oh, you think so?"
Yeah.
I thought it was a little rough. It wasn't terrible, but it was like...
I was really impressed with it. I didn't
really?
pick up anything that was bad, yeah.
Well, there were parts of it that looked great. Like there's one part where like somebody was like firing an arrow through a guy's neck, and I was like, "Oh, that looked really good." But there's some, like the water in particular, I thought like looked kind of like framey. But like as I moved on through the show, I definitely thought it was starting to hit its stride and get better and better. It's just like, I think coming off of Attack on Titan season 3 part 2, I was like, oh, this is like a slight step down, but it's still pretty damn good. Like it's still pretty solid. Especially the background art is really solid in this show. But yeah, it's like about this boy named Thorfinn, who is the son of this like basically demigod hero named Tors.
He's just a war hero. Come on.
Oh, come on. There's some like bullshit. Like he has like an oar like the size of like a truck that he uses. He's pretty larger than life, I'll say. He's like a hero of legend.
His name is Thors.
Yeah, they pronounce it Tors, but it's spelled Thors. So I don't know, yeah. And yeah, like, so basically he and his son, like, live in, I think, Iceland, in a small, like, village.
Yep,
but his past sort of comes back to bite him, because he used to be part of this group called the Jomsvikings, like Viking raiders. And they have some shit that they want handled in England that's going down. And so people have been sent to take him back, and I
thought it was weird that they're so interested in him. Like,
he's a legend.
He's only one guy, though. Like, I guess the legend is.
You saw that first battle. He's fucking damn near a one-man army.
He's a very valuable guy.
He's still one person. In real life, even if you're a really good fighter, you're still just one fucking person. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just for the renown of his name.
Yeah, he had fled from the east, from Norway, when King Harald like imposed rule over the Vikings who lived there. Another historical figure who's in this is Leif Erikson, who is like the first known European to discover the North American continent in like Newfoundland. And
that's
so he dubs Newfoundland Vinland, and that's why this is called Vinland Saga, because like he believes that the Vikings can find like fresh land to the west in Vinland and like start over there, basically. And so I assume this show is eventually going to go in that direction, but for now it's basically Tors getting caught back up in like a battle with like some pirates and stuff, like, who are sent to kill him, and also protecting his village from these people who want him to go back to fighting. And one of the weird things about this is, like, the manga doesn't start like this at all. These are all, like, new... There's, like, a flashback in the manga. So it's starting with the flashback before going into, like, the actual start of the manga. Which is weird. It's a weird decision. Some people think it's good. Some people are like, I don't know if I like this beginning as much as the manga beginning, so...
I didn't really enjoy the first few episodes, but it is good. I think the thing I enjoyed about the first few episodes was just the part with the slave and like his decision to pay all those cows or sheep or whatever for the slave, and then the slave dies, and that was interesting.
Yeah, that was the interesting thing about Tors to me, is that he's kind of a pacifist after all the war he's been in, and he's trying to impart that into his son Thorfinn. But I don't know if it's going to work out.
It's not working out. Like, he's just whooping everyone's butt on the playground.
Yeah, basically.
They're like, he's just going to end up like you. And his dad's just like, fuck. So it is interesting. And I think it gets better. It just may have been a weak beginning. I don't know.
Sure, yeah. All right, yeah, so I think that's solid. Let's move on to Monday, July 8th airings. Hensuki, are you willing to fall in love with a pervert as long as she's a cutie?
See,
no.
This had promise. I like harem shows. I will watch them. I watch this. Okay, it's the girls are all too fawning. When you have a good harem, they should not from the beginning all be fawning over the guy.
I totally agree with you.
They should be for him slowly over the course, and some fall faster than others. This one, it starts out, they're already all over him. Like, he could just say, everyone strip, and they just all do it, I feel like.
Yeah.
That's not a good harem. That's not a good harem.
It's just boring. It's like, oh, the job is already done. Why are we even here? Like,
Yeah.
This is like what the end result of the harem is supposed to be. And so, hold on, I'm going to get into what it is. So it's a light novel, Studio Geek Toys, who made Rewrite D.
It's also Studio 7.
Oh, okay, Studio 7
It's
as well.
between two. They did. My wife is the student council president, and this one's actually a little bit better. I can't understand what my husband is saying, which was short.
That was good. Yeah.
That one was good. Yeah.
The director Itsuki Imazaki has made like Magical Somura-chan and I My Me. I haven't heard of those, but like Kat was saying, so like everything Kat said is true. The only spin they're putting on this is like, okay, first of all, this is basically like Cinderella, except it's not a slipper. It's like some girl's panties got left for this guy with a note that's like, I love you. And so he needs to figure out which panties fit the girl.
Nice.
So that's the one twist. And then the second twist is that these girls aren't as straightforward as you would think. The first episode focuses on a girl who it turns out is a sadomasochist and wants him to make her pet dog. So yeah, that's all the girls have weird quirks like this. They're all they're weird, they're perverts of some sort. And that makes it a little bit more interesting. But man, this anime does not look great.
It doesn't. It's not well animated. I don't know. They didn't try very hard, I feel
They didn't try very hard. Exactly. It's what I feel too. And like Kat said, like it feels like it's over at the beginning. My guess is the blonde-haired girl is the winner because she has the best character design. So there you go.
Yeah, that's usually a good indicator.
Makes sense.
All right, next one. Is it right to say Arifureta? Is that how you say it?
Arifureta.
Okay.
From Commonplace to World's Strongest.
The World's Strongest. Okay, this anime reminds me of like that emo punk phase that kids go through in high school. Mm-hmm. Where they're like, I'm alone and no one loves me. I'm gonna wear this goth pants set with a punk shirt and put eyeliner on. Like that's what this anime is.
Yep.
It's like, I was abandoned and I'm at the bottom of a fucking dungeon and I have to eat my way out the dungeon and it's dark and I can only trust myself.
This is literally for him. Okay.
Yeah. And
like he probably has pretty damn decent reasons to be this way.
And I laughed really hard like watching. And it's decently, the first few episodes are decently animated. I enjoyed
I disagree.
I enjoyed the dramaticness. I enjoyed the kind of smirk that I got watching it and remembering my like punk phase. I think this will really appeal to a lot of very young teenage anime fans.
Sure.
Who are like, I hate you, Mom, and like go in their room. And it's cute, and we need some stuff like that. We need to recruit the young anime fans.
As you would expect,
all be masterpieces.
As you expect, this is based on a light novel, and it's also kind of an isekai, even though they sort of they skip over that part mostly.
No, it is a straight up isekai, but like you said, they almost like brush by it.
Yeah. The director Kinji Yoshimoto has done like 7 Mortal Sins. That's a fun show, and like Genshiken too. And yeah, it's from like Studios Azreed and White Fox, but there was like a lot of controversy because like this show got announced to air like a year ago, and then it got postponed. I think because the creator was not happy with like the quality of it. And then so like I think they dumped the entire staff and started over again. So in a lot of ways, I think the production seems somewhat rushed because of that, and a little bit haphazard in places, and that's why like there are some scenes that just don't look like they're connected to one another sometimes. There's just a whole bunch of visual jank. My problem with the show is more like, I think this show gets like really overtly lolicon pretty quickly, with like Yue, who is like the girl he finds in this dungeon, who becomes his companion. And it goes places. I've seen screenshots from further on, and it's like, oh boy. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like this would be more popular if the production of it was a little bit stronger. But it is still pretty popular. I guess the light novel itself is like pretty popular.
I will say it kind of convinced me I want to see him get his revenge. So like I just want to watch it because of that now. I'm like, fuck this lolly. I don't want to see it at all.
I was
whatever.
annoyed with the lolly, actually. I was like, I don't really need the lolly. I just want to watch him be dramatic and emo and like and like kill them all and then I'll be like, we're amazed at his power, because that's what this anime will be about.
Yeah, one interesting thing was when I watched that first episode, I was like, man, it really feels like they're rushing shit. And I just started reading some comments, and yeah, they're just cramming a shit ton of these first episodes.
Yeah.
And
there's just not very many anime with this feel, and I enjoy it. I enjoy the like weird teenage nostalgia hit I get off of it.
Well, I'm not getting a nostalgia hit, but I am enjoying this.
So, Kat, the main character, he doesn't like remind you of Shield Hero guy. He's less annoying than that guy, basically. Or
he's annoying.
Okay.
I find it funny as opposed to offensive.
Okay, well that's important. Like I agree. So, okay, that's interesting. All right, let's move on. We've got Copcraft on Funimation. This is a light novel adaptation from studio Mille Pensées, who did Berserk 2016. Also from the same director, Shin Itagaki, who did, Berserk 2016, Wake Up Girl Season 2. These were both not great shows. But also Bento, which is a really funny show people should seek out and watch if they get a chance. Also noteworthy, Shoji Gato, the original creator and scriptwriter, was the original creator of Full Metal Panic and Amagi Brilliant Park. So I kind of like the way the show world builds really quickly and gets you into the actual narrative of it like fast. Like, it's like an obvious allegory for illegal immigration issues that many countries are politicizing today.
Yep, it was interesting. They're like the Mexican gang or whatever, and I'm like, wow, interesting.
That reminded me it was set on Earth. I was like, oh, Mexican gangs exist. Okay, so I guess this is on Earth.
Yeah. I liked it. It reminds. Okay, so there's this show and BEM are very similar, I think.
Yeah.
I like this one better.
I'll disagree. I will
I
definitely
think it's
disagree.
more easy to follow. I enjoyed this one personally more. I was annoyed in the first episode because the cop that survives, his partner dies.
Yeah.
And he calls the wife on the fucking phone.
Oh, I'm so pissed too, Kat. I was so pissed.
What the fuck?
I was like, do they want us to feel this guy's like a fucking dirtbag? Like, because that's what he is. You go to the house, you tell her in person.
I was so angry. Oh.
He just didn't want to deal with it.
You're a stupid bitch.
Oh, I hate it.
You're dumb. That's not what you do. Oh my god.
And the other main character is this girl. So there's basically this hyperspace gate that is opened over the Pacific Ocean on Earth. And like it opens up into this other planet that has like fairies and monsters and stuff. So this girl comes through. Her name is Talarna Barsh Mirvor Imsidalia Ea Tebrena Devil Nilano Saya Nel Exadilica. So she's like a knight.
It's like, look at the cute lolly girl. Like, she's cute. Yeah, that's really what she is. I don't know.
And so she's sent to like figure out what's going on with this fairy that got stolen. And so she becomes basically a new partner for this dirtbag cop guy, Kei Mataba. And so like for the first 2 episodes, I kind of liked this. It was pretty fun. Like they were just like going around figuring out what was happening, and the banter between the main two was kind of fun. Episode 3 is where major issues started popping up. I decided to watch that one because I was like unsure on this show. And the animation goes down the drain in episode 3. They had some serious problems. I don't know what happened, but like there's a lot of in-between animation that needed to be there that just wasn't. Like they just didn't get it done, and it looks real bad. And they also stick to Larna in this like skimpy dress, and you get a bunch of panty shots of her, and it's like, oh, okay, what are they doing here?
There's none of that in BEM, I can tell you that.
I don't know, I did not watch episode 3 of BEM. Maybe episode 3 goes downhill. I'm not sure.
I think this is easier to follow than BEM. I was like, okay.
I had absolutely no problem following BEM. I don't know what you got caught up on.
I think maybe I was just distracted, and then I was like, why do they keep changing, like, the scene? Maybe that was the issue with them.
That sounds like it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's an interesting show, but it's flawed. I might keep watching it, but we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, so Kochoki on Funimation, or Kochoki Wakaki Nobunaga, is an original show from Studio Dean and directed by Noriyuki Abe, who directed Yu Yu Hakusho, Arslan Senki.
I thought that was interesting. I did not know that he directed all these good things.
Yeah, Bleach, Great Teacher Onizuka, and Divine Gate.
How the high have fallen? What the fuck's he doing directing this?
Well, so I thought this show was, like, okay.
It's not terrible.
Yeah.
But, okay, the main character is supposed to be Nobunaga as a kid, but, like...
Another Nobunaga?
He's bare
Jesus
fucking
Christ.
chested all the time. Put a shirt on. Holy shit.
Well, this is a pretty historically accurate Nobunaga in, like, other senses, like, besides the characterization of, like, his shirt off and everything.
Okay, but, like, that wouldn't be a thing. I'm sure that wouldn't be a thing.
I don't know. I mean, like, maybe he just he needs some sun.
It's not even an attractive chest. It's like a skinny, like, young boy chest. I don't want to see it.
Well,
put a shirt on.
By episode 2, he has grown up a bit. He's like a little bit older teenager. And I thought that episode was more interesting because it gets into his encounter with Kicho, who is the lady of Mino, like a neighboring province to Nobunaga's home, which is in Owari. And he is basically set to marry her out of political convenience. But, like, she also is, like, this ninja who he had met before one time when he was in Mino, and, like, as he figures out, she was basically sent to assassinate him by her father, but he's basically able to convince her not to do that, to disobey her father and stay by his side, which is pretty cool. And this is, like, it's, like, speculated. It's not, like, 100% true in real life, but it's speculated that this was the case, that she may have been sent as an assassin. So it's not like they're, like, bending history or anything. They're, like, drawing from real history here. And so I think that's the thing I like about the show. It's just I can learn more about Oda Nobunaga's life. Like, a lot of the Nobunaga anime that have come out are just, like, bullshit. And this one is more historically accurate, and I think, for me, more interesting because of that. But at the same time, it's not that special, so...
It does have interesting subplots. I think it's well done. I don't know if I'll continue to watch it. Probably not, honestly. But it's not a bad show. I'm not going to say it's terrible. It's just like, it's not positioned well for being a popular show.
Right, yeah. Okay, let's move on to July 11th premiering shows. First, we've got Given on Crunchyroll, which is based on a manga from Studio Lerche. The director, Hikaru Yamaguchi, directed like an OVA called Eska Crone and has barely worked on anything else. So that's interesting. Very little track record.
Big first thing, basically.
Basically, yeah. And it is basically like a boys' love story about these two guys who meet and play in a band together. And so the two main characters are Mafuya Sato, who is like this orange-haired character who's like really slow and awkward and mysterious. He's so like slow and weird that to me he almost feels like he's like a space alien trapped in a human's body or something. Like it's very like off-putting to me, his character. But I like the other main character, Ritsuko Uenoyama. He's like this dark-haired guy who's like really passionate about guitar and really good at it. But he's been less satisfied by like playing with bands lately, and he's like searching for something. And he basically just gets like Mafuya just keeps like hanging out like in the same place that he likes to take naps at school, like at lunchtime. And Mafuya basically just begs him to just teach him how to play guitar. And he just can't turn him down after he tries like so hard to like get him to teach. And then, yeah, the other members of the band are like a drummer named Kaji, who's like a second-year college student, and a bassist named Haruki, who's like a grad student. So I kind of like that they have like a range of ages, which is like, it's not just like a bunch of high school guys. It's not like K-On! With high school guys, you know?
Yeah, I did like that. I'll agree.
What have you been thinking about this, Kat? You seem to like this show.
I did. I enjoyed it. There's not very often that you see a boys' love show that's got some popularity to it, and it is decently popular this season. And I always have to jump on that. And I mean, it's not too stereotypical. It seems like they've put some thought into the romance. So I'm interested in pursuing it and seeing what happens.
It was interesting when I was watching it, like just because of the hair color of the guys, I was thinking this is like Bloom Into You, but with boys.
Yeah, it kind of is. It kind of is.
But and I think I have some of the same problems with Sato that I had with like the main girl in Bloom Into You, and that like they don't really know what they want. But like Sato to like a much greater extent, he's such a mystery. Like we don't even know like why he has a guitar, why he wants to play guitar. He literally knows nothing about it. He's just like,
I mean,
you know,
I'm sure it'll be some big reveal.
Yeah,
I'm sure it'll be like it was his brother's and his brother died or something.
Yeah, it'll be some like big emotional thing like that. But
yeah,
I feel like the fact that they're holding back so much about him is just like hurting his character overall, because he's just kind of there at this point. And like he might be cute and fun, but like he's like just so shallow as a character that it's hard for me to get interested in him. But I like the rest of the people in the show, though. So
he may open up a little bit. That's pretty common with like the uke of a show.
Mm-hmm.
They'll start out very, like, just kind of a template. It's always kind of, you're like, come on, do something with them, and I'm hoping they do. But we'll see.
Yeah, well,
I'm excited about it. So.
I think it's a given. I didn't check this out because there's nothing in here that is on my interest list.
Okay, but like it's not gonna be like, oh, they lean against a wall suggestively type of thing.
No,
Leo.
it's not the
like,
boy
you're not
love
gonna
that
feel
bothers me. But then there's like the music aspect. You know, that's not my alley. Carole Tuesday just happens to be an exception.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so, I do like the music in the show is like pretty decent too. I thought it's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, I get it. It's interesting enough though. Like you won't mind it. You might enjoy it, Leo.
Mm-hmm. It's a little slow, but you know.
I don't know about you, Kat, but I'm ready to yell at Bcom about the next show.
Yeah, let's all yell at me again. Hold on. Right. Let me introduce it, and then you can yell at me.
Bcom shit taste this season. All right, let's go.
Demon Girl Next Door, which is on High Dive, also known as Machikado Mazoku, is based on a 4-koma manga. It's from Studio JC's staff, and the director, Hiroaki Sakurai, has directed like such shows as Kodomo no Omocha, Digi Chariot, Jewel Pet Happiness, and like Psyche K, which is like a really popular comedy. So he's got like a pretty damn good resume for comedy shows, I would say.
Okay, first, what is Jewel Pet Happiness?
I don't think I've heard of any of these. That? Maybe I've heard of Psyche K.
That sounds like some girl that's had like
okay, I've heard of Psyche K.
Hot glued to her skull.
I've not heard of any of these other ones.
So Kodomo no Omocha is probably the most popular or like most revered show on that list, but Jewel Pet Happiness is more of like a kid's show, so that's why you haven't heard of it. But it's pretty popular among like certain circles, I feel like. So yeah.
Interesting.
Kodomo no Omocha, it's from 1996.
And it's a really good show. Like literally over the past couple of years on Twitter, I follow like a lot of anime people. There's multiple people I've followed that have rewatched that show recently and just raved about how good it is. So I haven't watched it. I need to get back. I need to get to that at some point. But I respect this director based on that, because that's a really good show, apparently.
Wow.
This show's like very similar to Gabriel Dropout. I'll say like right off the bat. And that it pits
then why do you like it? You didn't really like Gabriel Dropout.
Like the more that like I've like time has gone by since Gabriel Dropout, I still appreciate a lot of things about it. It was just flawed. Like Satania, as you would know, Leo, was a fucking great character. Like she's amazing. Yeah. And I think I liked Gab too. It was just the other characters in the show I didn't like as much. And like the places the show went weren't so interesting. But this is similar in that it's like pitting like a demon girl against like, instead of angels, magical girls. Like the demon girl is a descendant of the Dark Clan, and the angels are descendants of the Light Clan, and they've always battled against each other, blah, blah, blah. But the funny thing is, like, this demon girl just wakes up one day with horns on her head and asks her mom, like, what the heck is happening? And there's, like, no stakes in this show. They don't take it seriously, like, at all. Like, she's constantly joking, and the show is constantly dripping with sarcasm about everything. So, like, the main character, Yuko, like, wakes up, finds all this out, and she's so nonchalant about it. Like, her mother gives her a fork and is like, go murder the magical girl and splatter their blood on this demon statue that we used as a doorstop. And like Yuko goes out and she's like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And she is saved from getting hit by a truck by this magical girl who like gives her something to eat and is like really nice to her, kind of like in Gabriel Dropout, where like the demons and angels are super nice to one another, even though they're supposed to be fighting. And like I liked how like the magical girl transformation happened in that scene, where they show like a timer on the bottom right to show that it only takes like 1/100th of a second real time, but like they draw it out over like 20 seconds, her transformation. So it's just goofy. I like also when Yuko gets to school, she tells her friends, I grew these horns because apparently it's my destiny to find and murderize a magical girl. And they're all like, oh, that's so cute. Your horns look like giant croissants. Oh, it's just, they don't take anything seriously. And there's like so much like good gag humor. And I think the direction is the thing that lifts this up. The director, I think, is really smart and knows how to direct a comedy, knows how to use like sound effects to accent scenes.
Man, I have to disagree so hard. I was the whole time I was like, this is not funny, and this main character girl is just really annoying and whiny.
It's really just slightly cute. It didn't make me laugh in reality.
No, I never laughed either.
There are parts that are funny, but it's not like haha funny.
For me, it was haha, but like I can totally understand like comedy is always subjective. So like
and there are some witty parts, and I get that. Like the part where they're a poor family, that's kind of cute. Like the time where she's basically saved by this person she's supposed to be fighting, given food. It's funny. It's just I don't see it going anywhere or being interesting. It's just gonna be like, haha, it's a sideshow. Like.
Yeah, and that main girl reminds me a lot of Hitori Bochi, in that she's like so self-conscious about like her height and like her weak strength and everything. And the other girl, the magical girl, Momo, is a lot like that sidekick like Nakano or whatever in Hitori Bochi, in that like she's kind of like showing Yuko the way. Like she starts training her, and like when she's having a conversation with her, she like bends her knees so she's at her same height and stuff, and like so she's like constantly like sort of making fun of her but like training her and helping her out at the same time. And like Yuko just can't handle that because she's supposed to be murderizing her. So yeah, it's a fun dynamic basically to watch, and that's why I think it works. But yeah, it's not gonna work for everybody, though.
Hitori Bochi, another badly ended anime, just like this will be.
I don't know if this one will end badly. I don't know. We'll see.
I still have not watched the last episode of Hitori Bochi. I don't know why.
And that's why you know it's bad, because if no one's talking about the ending, you know it ended badly.
It was a struggle to finish.
Or just at least mediocre. Yeah, but I don't know. Like I just expected better of your choices, Bcom.
Sure you did. I expected better of your choices, Miss Arifureta.
I just like the weirdness. I'm aware it's trash. It's like fun. You're not aware that's trash. That's sadder.
God. All right, let's move on. On
Boob strings.
On Friday, July 12th, Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon #2 or Season 2 premiered. My bad. On Crunchyroll and High Dive. It's obviously based on a light novel, also from JC Staff. God, JC Staff is doing a lot of work this season. And director Hideki Tachibana didn't direct the first season, but they did direct one anime we all remember and love in our hearts, Armed Girls Machiavellianism. Imagine directing Armed Girls Machiavellianism and then like somebody handing you like a big like shonen franchise and being like, you did a great job on that. Just do more of the same.
Oh my god. Bcom's despair during that whole thing made it so fucking worth it. I have never made him so unhappy, ever.
Well, I don't know. There's a couple other times.
That's what makes you happy. You're just like, I've never seen him so miserable. Oh man.
So
yeah, it is weird to give someone with that shitty anime and then give them this, which is such a huge. That is a strange choice for sure.
Seems like a big step, but got to find a director somewhere.
It's kind of an empty season. I mean, I guess the first was empty too, but I tried watching this and I was just like, it's the same characters.
Well, all of JC Staff's other directors was working on everything else. So.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, like, there's not much of interest here. Like, Belle gets into a fight with, like, some people from the Apollo Familia. and they like basically challenge him and Hestia to a war game, and then basically like keep provoking them until like Hestia finally agrees. And that's basically it.
There's a lot of emphasis on the fact that Hestia has big titties.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That was
that's
the
about
first
it.
one also.
And that boob ribbon. Gotta love the boob ribbon. And then
boob ribbon.
Boob string.
Yes.
Eyes Wallenstein is still around, and like there's a cute scene where they get to dance together in like the first episode or whatever. I liked that. Or maybe it's the second episode, I can't remember. But it's more of the same, basically. There'll probably be like one really cool scene at some point, just like there was in season 1 when Belle fought the Minotaur. And everybody will remember that and literally nothing else. That's basically how the show goes. It's fine. Like I'll probably watch it at some point, but it's not that great. It's all right. All right, last show that aired this season on July 14th was Bcom on Funimation. Woo-hoo. It's an original anime from Land Q Studios, who I don't know much about. I think they're fairly new, but I'm not sure. And the director Yoshinori...
I'll look into that.
Okay. The director Yoshinori Odaka directed Armed Blue Gunvolt. And the only other noteworthy thing I thought was that Maya Sakamoto actually sings the OP for this, who I like a lot. Her OPs are usually pretty great.
Okay, so they also did it with Production IG.
Yeah, but I heard that this was mostly a Land Q thing, and like Production IG were just sort of like supervising it.
So the only thing that I've actually seen is Robot Girls Z, which was like a funny ass short.
Okay.
And Jesus, I don't know anything else on here.
So
Sword Guy, the animation.
Oh, Sword Guy was not good, as far as I remember. But yeah. So yeah, they're fairly new. So Leo, you seem to get the most out of this show, so why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, I really liked it. I think it's not a bad show. So what it does is it follows 3 yokai named Bim, Bella, and Bello. And they resemble...
Say that again.
The Three
Bim, Bella,
Stooges.
and Bello. So it follows 3 yokai that resemble humans and can still transform into their monster forms. They basically want to become humans and believe if they can basically do enough good and like save enough humans, they themselves can become human. There's also this really interesting female cop who wants to like make the city a better place and like cleaning up the corruption in the floors. But what's interesting is there's what they call the upper city, which is like the rich, really well off to do portion of the city. And then there's like a river that intersects it between what they call the outside, which is kind of like the slums. And from the first episode, it felt like it was just going to be a Monsters of the Week show. And it still was that in the second episode. But in the second episode, I was really surprised with the writing because they focused on the female yokai a little bit. And like she's just like a really deadpan character you find out in the first episode. But in the second episode, she lives in the upper part. When you see her at school, she's a really like happy, go lucky and positive person. But then when she's suddenly away from her friends, she's just like her other self. And when she's like questioned about it by one of the other yokai, she's like, I'm just practicing to being human. And that second episode is just really good because it follows how she acquired kind of the human form she had. So when we talk about the 3 yokai, apparently one of them's the alpha, and that's the main guy who has like just like a beefy beefcake like type yokai character he is. And I guess he has apparently a lightning element. And then the girl who we just met, I'm not sure who, I think she's Bella, but they call her Annie, her human friends do. Her yokai thing is just like this weird female with big old teeth form, and she can kind of like freeze things with like a freeze breath. And the third guy is kind of like, he's kind of like a kid. He likes to wear his headphones, and like his form is like kind of a goblin type thing. And I haven't seen what his like power is yet, but if I had to assume, we have lightning and then ice. I'm assuming his is probably fire or something. Be my guess. I think it's really cool. Kat told me she had a problem between the jarring difference between the first episode and the second episode. And like I said, it's because you suddenly see that female character be somebody else. But also, the first episode is almost entirely on the outside, which is the slums. And the second episode is almost entirely in the upper, which is a very drastic change.
Yeah, that was pretty different.
I guess it's good in the sense that you're getting both views of it, but it just was a little jarring for me. And that might have been just because I was also trying to cook while I watched it. And I'm sure there were times where I missed something.
Yeah, the second
like,
episode moves. It does a lot of scene jumping really fast. It's called Liar. And just without flatly giving away, there's a lot of like manipulation going on in the background, and you are kind of aware of some of it, but then you have to guess with some of it. So like I was really like sucked into that episode. So I cannot see watching episode 2 and having anything else distract you.
Yeah, that was probably part of it because I just started to get confused. But yeah, maybe I'll rewatch it, not while cooking.
I would recommend it.
Yeah, for me, like, I don't have, like, much negative to say about it, but I also don't have, like, too many positive things to say either. It just didn't hook me that much. I also found myself, like, laughing at the bowling pin guy fight in episode 2.
I don't know what that was about.
That was so weird.
I felt like, okay, why is this guy bowling pin themed, and is he another yokai? Or
He, like, also looks like Elvis.
What's his deal?
He's, like, Space Dandy or something.
He was weird.
Yeah, that was just like a weird thing, but like I see what you like about the rest of this show. I thought it was somewhat interesting, doing some interesting world building. I'll agree with Kat that I think I liked the first couple episodes of Copcraft more, but then Copcraft went down the drain. So yeah, I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, I think this is like a halfway decent show at least. It's the best I'll say for it so far.
I will say it's one of the ones that surprised me the most. Like I went into it. Like, I actually kind of expected it to be not that great. But then I was really interested in the first episode. And then I watched the second episode, and I was like, yo, I'm kind of on board for the writing. If they keep this up,
yeah,
I'm really going to like it.
All right, we have a couple other shows just to say, like, a few words about, and these are the shows that are airing on Netflix. We've got Skilled Teaser Takagi-san second season. I haven't watched any of this yet because it's going to air on Netflix, and there hasn't been anybody like subbing it that I think is good. And I'm also just not that super motivated to like watch it week to week.
We also, all three of us, did not really like the first season. So why would we watch the second season?
Basically, it's just especially more
Kat. Kat hated it.
Yeah, we got tired of it essentially. And,
it was very annoying to me.
Leo, I know you checked out a little bit of Kengan Ashura on Netflix. What did you think of that?
I've read that manga.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really fun manga to read. It's a fighting tournament manga. It's just one giant tournament like that. It's really awesome, and like all the fighters have really unique moves and everything. And I think the adaptation's going very well. It's like a CGI / cell shading technique they're using, and I'm fine with it. It doesn't bother me. I think it's really good. And this manga is actually finished, but then it continued in another manga called like Kengan Omega or something like that. It's Omega something.
Okay.
And so like it's the same world, a lot of the same people, but not the same main character. And I mean, if you like fighting mangas, check it out. The anime and the manga itself, but I don't know. I don't think we're gonna follow on Netflix.
No.
Yeah. Kat, I think you appeared on the Trash Pandas Watch Anime podcast and talked about Seven Seeds there.
Yes, I did. So you can look at that episode for a full in-depth review of Seven Seeds. I personally did not enjoy it that much. Mm-hmm. It's interesting, but I wouldn't be too look at it too much. It's all right, but
okay,
nothing amazing. There is supposed to be a second season, and if there is, then it may be better. But the way it ends right now, it's just frustrating. So I'd wait on it.
Okay, and then I have a category for shows I'm ignoring because there's too much shit we're not caught up on.
Oh yeah, I did see a certain scientific accelerator, and I was like, oh, but I can't because
it's
I haven't seen
Index or Railgun, and I'm sure I probably would get more out of the show if I'd seen those first. So I know Accelerator is like a favorite character for people who are fans of like Railgun and stuff. So yeah, sure, check that out. The other one is Symphogear XV, which is like the 5th series of Symphogear. Now, I'm enjoying watching clips of this get posted to Reddit, because like Symphogear is just as balls to the wall crazy as it's ever been. And it's completely nuts. And so I fully like intend to watch Symphogear one day. It's just today is not that day, basically. I'm too far behind.
One thing I want to add to BIM was I really like the OP. and I like the jazzy music throughout the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, I thought the music was pretty interesting. Yeah.
That's something I really liked from it. It kind of made me get Cowboy Bebop nostalgia. Jazz usually does that for me anymore, but
nice.
Yeah, I want to throw that in before we get on to this next part. Or go to break, I think.
Yeah, so I think now that we're at the end of all this stuff, we're going to group up, we're going to come together, make sure our final rankings for all these shows are correct, and we will be back with the vote to decide what shows we will be watching this season.
Oh, boy.
So, see you in a little bit.
Yeah. We'll see you soon.
Yep.
And we're back with the fucking vote.
Yeah, we're back. It's
Stealing
time
the
to get
show
voting.
from Bcom.
Time to get out the vote.
Oh,
Yay, the vote. Explain it to us, Bcom.
All right, so again, for this summer season, Kat, Leo, and I are going to watch 8 shows together. 5 of those shows are going to be determined by a consensus between us on, like, we ranked all of our shows from, like, 1 to 12 or 15 for me. And based on that consensus, we will have a top 5 shows. Then we will each all get one show that is our lock, which means that even if our co-hosts weren't like super interested in it or didn't want to watch it, they now have to watch it with us, but they don't have to review the episodes. Only the person who locked the episode reviews it. So we will cover the shows one episode at a time on a weekly basis, staying as close to airing time as we can. We may end up making mid-season cuts on certain shows if they go downhill. Or if we feel like we're just not feeling it for whatever reason.
Or something actually starts shining that we didn't pick up in the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, and what can help us out with discovering that is if our listeners like want to like let us know what they think is really good by either talking to us on Twitter or in our Discord. And we always take that feedback into consideration if you guys want to hear about something specifically. So with all of that out of the way, it is time to move on to our individual top picks of the season so far. We each have like a top 10 or so laid out. However many you want to read off, go for it. Leo, you are first.
Ooh, should I go first?
I don't know.
I almost predicted the 5 shows.
Well, why don't we go in reverse order then? Kat, you go first. What were your top 10 or 11 there?
So I got Carole Tuesday, number 1. Number 2, Dr. Stone. Number 3, Given. Number 4, Dumbbells. Number 5, Vinland Saga. 6, Oh Maidens in Your Savage Season. 7, Fire Force, which you guys all shat on, which was kind of unfortunate. Number 8, Arifureta, which I ranked higher because, like I said, I enjoy the funniness of it to me. Number 9, Demon Slayer.
That's unfortunate. What the fuck?
I mean, you guys say it picks up again later. I haven't watched that far ahead, so maybe I'll be excited again. We'll see. 10, Astra, Lost in Space. 11, Fruits Basket, because I have to put it on there even if I know we're not going to cover it. So.
All right, I'll count down my top 10 next. At 10, I had Fruits Basket, still barely hanging on. At number 9, I had Dr. Stone. At 8, I had Granbelm, which I would have had higher on this list after just 2 episodes, but I watched episode 3 and wasn't exactly thrilled with it as much as I was with the first 2.
You made it sound like it was going to be your fucking lock.
I was leaning towards that for a while, yeah. But maybe not. Number 7 is Astra Lost in Space. Number 6, how heavy are those dumbbells that you're lifting? Number 5, Vinland Saga. Number 4, I had The Demon Girl Next Door. I really like that show. It's fucking hilarious.
I don't know why.
I think it's the best comedy of the season, for sure. And number 3, Demon Slayer. Number 2, Oh Maidens in Your Savage Season. Best new show, for sure. And then number 1, I still have Carole Tuesday. It's like getting even better. So, yeah.
So I wonder what's number 1 so far. My number 10 was Astra. I liked it, but not for the same reasons Kat did. Number 9 is Bcom. 8, Fire Force. 7, Abandoned Sacred Beasts. I think that's pretty cool. I've also read that manga, and I know they're going to do a lot of fun stuff that you'll get to see that you didn't really be privy of for those first 2 episodes. So there's some cool stuff coming up. Number 6, Oh Maidens of the Savage Seasons, or whatever it says. 5, Vinland Saga. 4, Heavy Dumbbells. Number 3, Dr. Stone. Number 2, Demon Slayer. And number 1 is, of course, Carole Tuesday, as we all voted.
Damn. So what does that make our top 5, Leo?
Well, something really, really interesting happened this time around.
That's
so
true.
Obviously, our number 1 is Carole Tuesday. And then our 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th pick all got ranked the exact same.
Yeah, the same average rank. Yeah.
That is true. That is really weird.
So at number 5, we have How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift, which I guess these first rankings don't matter. Number 4, Dr. Stone. Number 3, good old Demon Slayer. 2, Oh Maidens in Your Savage Season. And, of course, number 1, Carole Tuesday.
And man, Vinland Saga just missed because it was just outside of that top.
Barely.
5.
Yeah.
That is so weird to me that we somehow didn't get Vinland Saga on there. But, like, I'm sure I don't know. Anyway, it's a decent list.
What's funny with me, my top 4 are in there and my 6th pick is in there. That's our top 5. So, like, I was off by 1, which was the Vinland Saga, which was the one out. So, like, that's crazy.
I mean, I have 3 of my 5 on there. That's pretty good. And the one that wasn't in my 5 was Oh Maidens.
Yeah.
Which was 6 for me.
When
so
you
mostly I did well.
Well, you had Demon Slayer and Bcom had Dr. Stone way out there at the 9th pick.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I just like the other shows more than it. I don't know. I think Dr. Stone is just goofy. It's kind of fun, but it's also like, even with like the scientific spin on everything, it just feels like typical shonen to me in a lot of ways. I also don't like the girl character so far. Like, she's just an airhead. So I hope she gets better.
I'm really interested in the blonde character. I've been seeing a lot of pics about.
I've been interested in how far apart her eyes are. Somebody posted the thing where it was like her and like you have like, you know how in the Skyrim you have like the sliders for how far your eyes are apart. And they just had it at like 200%.
Oh, max
next to her face. I was like, oh, that's great. Yeah, the character designs of that show are really interesting, but definitely different. Okay, so locks. So this time around, the lock order is me, then Leo, then Kat, which leads to some interesting strategizing.
And also, very interestingly, Bcom has had no idea just before we started hitting record again. So we don't know what he's going to pick.
Yeah, we're all sort of scrambling to figure out what we're going to pick.
I think it's pretty. I think it's a little less up in the air than most seasons, honestly.
Mm-hmm. I will say for me, it is in between 3 shows. It is in between Demon Girl Next Door, Vinland Saga, and Astra, Lost in Space.
Don't make...
Which I think are all decent shows. Strategy-wise... I think I should pick one of them. Like, honesty-wise, I should probably pick another one.
I think you'll be all right. Leo knows what needs to be done. It's on his list in order.
I mean, certain things are on Leo's list.
He's not a child.
Leo's a child, let's be honest.
Handle the adult choice. I mean, we're all children sometimes, but I would like to think that Leo knows what's best.
So I'm definitely not picking Granbelm, because like I was thinking about Granbelm and like you guys just both hated it, and I was like, all right, that's just going to be a nightmare to review.
I think the sound effects, because I've watched it since we recorded the first half, I think the sound effects are cool in the first episode, but then the second episode I was like, no, this sucks.
Oh really? I didn't even notice that. Yeah. That's interesting. But yeah, I don't like, if it's just going to be like a nightmare to review each week, like I don't want to do that. I think Demon Girl Next Door will grow on you guys as it goes on, and if it doesn't, I could switch it out for something mid-season.
Okay.
But I think I'm gonna go with that, even though like fucking Vinland Saga is sitting there. So I'm gonna go with that one, and maybe I'll regret it.
Oh shit. Okay. And Leo.
So I've actually had this one chosen before we started recording, and it is Bem.
I thought so.
No, you motherfucker!
See, Kat, I 100% knew he was going to pick Ben.
Oh, you asshole!
I 100% knew.
You're such a Yes! God damn it!
100%
What are you
nude.
doing, Leo?
An
I feel
hour
like you
before
just-
we recorded, I sat down and I finally got to watch the second episode of BIM because I didn't have time yesterday. And I was just so encaptured by
like
it
you're a
that was
cat
just
that
like,
just shat on my carpet.
like
wrong
I
with you?
really think this is going to be a good show. I really think it's going to be an underrated show because not a lot of people are even talking about it. But just like, I don't know, something about the second episode. I mean, hey, if this turns out not to keep up what it did in the second episode for me, I will definitely be dropping this mid-season and picking up something else. But
I need some newspaper to hit you in the nose.
Yeah, like I think it could be interesting. I don't know. Like I think there are more sure
trash
things.
shows.
Like I think even Abandoned Sacred Beast was like more of a sure thing than it, and like Astra probably. But yeah, I don't know. Like
Abandoned Sacred Beast was probably my second choice. So,
but okay. Well, now I'm interested to see with the last
You guys
lock
are such assholes.
what Cat
now you
does.
both get your little shit trash shows, and I don't get to play with my.
That's what
decent
happens when you have the last
non-trash
lock.
shows.
that's why the
Sometimes.
rankings
Fucking bitches.
rotate. That's why the
I
rankings
deserve
rotate.
my Yali. I deserve it. I deserve it.
It's
you bitches.
that main character sucks, Cat. He's terrible.
You.
Tell me what you know.
I
Tell me what
just
you
went for
know
the
about
team.
I had
Sato.
no idea you wanted to do that one, Kat. That surprises me.
Tell me. No, it doesn't. This doesn't surprise me at all. This is why I didn't pick Vinland Saga.
Asshole. Oh.
Well,
Oh.
if you're looking at
I took one for the team last season. I fucking
Well,
did
next.
that show.
See, the
It
thing
was
is,
terrible.
next season you have first lock, so you can get the pick of the litter
You know
next
what?
season.
Yeah, so you
guys
get
gonna
what
be
you
all
want next
shitty with
season.
me? You guys gonna be all shitty with
Kat,
me? I'm
you
gonna
get
pick
first pick
Given.
next season.
I'm gonna pick Given. Oh, what now, bitches? Now you're stuck with it. What now? What now?
All right, so now I can watch Vinland Saga and not have to worry about.
Poor Vinland Saga. That's hilarious. Oh my god, I love it.
This is
See,
the most
taking what-
fucking random locks I think we have ever fucking had.
Like, Given,
Acting like a bunch of children.
Given's not even that
No.
bad, so like I'm not like upset or anything.
You know what?
But it's
Hey,
just
Kat-
hilarious.
Kat, I will say this: if our roles were reversed, you would have picked Given, trying to force Vinland Saga on me. So you know what? Fuck you.
True. Exactly.
You're not wrong. I'm a Slytherin at heart. I would totally have done it.
Yeah, I know
guys
you
are
would
all
have.
snakes. Okay, so I will say I appreciate how we all went like off the grid for our choices. Like we all just like hate each other.
We're just like, you're gonna have to watch this piece of shit. Like, eat it.
And you know
Oh
what?
my
I really feel like we should have done Vinland Saga and Abandoned Sacred Beast and Fire Force, but we didn't.
We didn't. No, we didn't do it.
I agree with 2 out of the 3.
The thing
I
is-
really like Sacred Beast.
This time it does make for possible mid-season cuts, which we haven't had in a little while. Like we haven't had many mid-season
No,
cuts.
we've been sticking
Those
to
are
our
all
guns
trash
for a while.
shows, so like we'll cut the list
We'll have to,
and
yeah.
put good shows in. Probably we just want to be miserable together for a couple weeks.
We just got to make sure we keep up with those shows and see how they go and see if we want to replace them. So,
Well,
All
at
right.
least I can say about my lock that the other two just don't outright hate it like the other ones. So
yep. So I will say one more time: the top 8 shows we're watching this season are Carole Tuesday, Oh Maidens in Your Savage Season, hell yes. Demon Slayer, Dr. Stone, How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift, and then the Demon Girl Next Door, Bem, and Given.
those like the first 5 make sense, and then you list the last 3, and it's like what? Oh, shit.
The last thing I put in the document, I just like went through all the shows on my anime list and went into like on each page a show has a stats like tab, and you can look at how many people have it listed as like currently watching, which I find to be like a more accurate like take on the popularity of a show than like people who have like added it to their list like as a plan to watch, because they may never watch it. Especially for our podcast, which is all about currently watching things. And so I just wanted to like look at like how popular things are and see like some of the takeaways that they have, and like it's interesting the shift we've had. We talked about it a little bit over the podcast. Like where like Amazon Prime is like basically not a thing anymore. Like the only show they've got is Vinland Saga. High Dive is like hanging on. They've got like 5 shows this season, I think. And Danmachi is shared with Crunchyroll. So like their other 4 exclusives though, like Maidens, we picked Consensus, and Demon Girl Next Door, I locked. And they also have Wasteful Days of High School Girls and Restage Dream Days. I just want to say, like, I think High Dive's doing a good job of curating the few anime that they do get a season. Like, I think they're making smart picks, especially with Maidens, which is obviously like the gem in their hat, their cap this season. So,
and Netflix is extremely hit and miss.
Basically, yeah, and
there's some really good shows that they stole and are keeping from us. And there's some shit.
Yeah, like Seven Seeds and Kengan Ashura are like all the way at the bottom of the list as far as currently watching, though some people have completed it already because it's a Netflix show, it's already out. But still, even with those people added, it was like really low on the popularity list. So that was interesting. I don't know if that's because like people who watch anime on Netflix just have very little like crossover with the anime community on My Anime List who watch things like week to week typically, or they're just not popular shows at all. Because, like, Carole Tuesday is pretty high up there, even though it's not even on Netflix yet. So, like, if it's a good show, people will seek it out.
That feels really promising when it does finally drop. On August, end of August? Was it 30th?
Yeah, like the first half of the season on August 30th, I think, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I expect it to actually move up the ranks as soon as that drops, which is, I'm super glad. There's, like, so many people I got to recommend it to as soon as it drops, so...
And while we're not covering, like, the big behemoths like One Piece and Black Clover and, like, Boruto, which are all at the top, we are covering Dr. Stone, which is, like, the most popular new shonen series. And, oh, you know what? I fucking forgot to put Demon Slayer in here. It's like above Dr. Stone. A lot of people are watching that, too. I think it's above Boruto also, by the way.
Oh, really?
It's like gaining a lot of popularity. Yeah.
Well, especially with the episode 19, and then Dr. Stone being... promoted to hell and back by Crunchyroll.
Yeah, for sure. And like Fire Force is up there, but we're not covering it. But Vinland Saga is up there. So I thought that was interesting. I think that Demon Girl Next Door is underwatched at only 12,000 currently watching.
Because you're a piece of turd.
I will do my best to prove that that's the case. I also think Maidens in Your Savage Season is very underwatched. Like at like 38,000.
That one is underwatched. Yeah.
Dumbbell could probably use a few more watches too. It's only got 55,000. It could rise up a little bit. It should get above Arifureta, in my opinion.
No, I'd agree with that also. Yeah, definitely above Arifureta.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I really expected it to be the next Cells at Work, is really what I expect from it.
The general consensus is always kind of tended towards trash taste, though, so you never really know.
Yes.
It could end up...
It's a good point.
It's okay.
But look at Given down there at only 23,000 people watching.
It's underrated.
I mean, we're gonna find out for sure.
Can you believe somebody locked that? That's fucking bullshit.
Oh, fuck you.
Well, what about
your fucking
BEM?
BEM? Oh, I don't want to hear any of us talking about our shitty choices today.
Leo, you know what's funny? Like between the people,
you know what's right under BEM? The Demon Girl Next Door.
In between both of those shows, they like just barely have more watchers than Given. So yeah, we're trying to prop up some little shows this season. It looks like we'll see. All right,
we're going local, homegrown.
Yeah, local, sourced.
Even lowers your Granbelm that you kind of wanted at first.
Yeah. God, Granbelm is really low down there.
It's 11,000. Woo!
Mm-hmm.
Aren't you glad you didn't make that mistake?
Yes, I am glad.
Very different mistake.
All right, so yeah, I just want to give a lowdown on like the land and see where we are in the anime streaming industry these days. And so I hope you got something interesting out of that. I just threw that together like before the podcast because I found it kind of interesting. Because the stuff has like shifted a lot over the past like year or so. Like Funimation is like a much bigger player again after like splitting with Crunchyroll. They have a ton of shows, but
yeah, actually seeing the comparison right here, that's actually pretty impressive. They're damn near pretty much almost on par.
Yeah, almost everything. Like Crunchyroll has a good number of exclusives, but I think Funimation's exclusive has like a slight edge. They have Dumbbell, they have Astra. Bem, which Leo likes a lot, Copcraft, yeah.
I like the one Amazon Prime and this whole list of 41 shows.
It is so weird. We thought Amazon was like taking over anime at one point. It didn't quite happen.
At one point, they were making a big push, and then they just like gave out for I don't know what reasons, but it'd be kind of cool to know why.
Well, I think they had specific contracts with like the people like Wit Studio and stuff for like Kabanari of the Iron Fortress, and they had some Noitamina shows. At one point, they had a contract with all their shows, but I don't think that's happening anymore necessarily.
But why would you end those with such big people, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like Given is the Noitamina show this season, and it's on Crunchyroll, so they don't have that deal with Amazon anymore. Otherwise, Given would have been there. But.
Well, they lucked out on that one, I'd say.
Well, it's time to get into actually watching these shows and coming back with podcasts, hopefully very quickly. So let's wrap this up. Thank you all for listening. Remember, you can always like and follow and subscribe to us on YouTube to get updates on new podcasts or videos. You can also find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher. And also follow us on Twitter at Nerdom and Other, because we always tweet out when we have new podcasts out. And also come hang out on our Discord. We love talking about anime over the course of the season. Always getting ahead of ourselves. We were talking about Demon Slayer episode 19 recently in our Discord, even though we're not going to cover that for a while. And yeah, so just come hang out. It's a fun place. And with all that, we will see you next time.
Yep. Bye. Later, everybody.